Let's get busy.
Returning for the latest Shooting from the Lip. This will be episode 349. Doing our on-site recording at Baxter's 942 in the Highlands. It is Tuesday, August 28th. Joining me for this segment, Mr. Matt Moore. Matt, Double M, what's up?
Nothing much, man. It's good to be in with you. Been waiting for a while in line, man.
We've been talking about this, so I finally had to make it happen. So good to have you here. Matt's a local musician in town. Local all your life? I mean, how long?
Half my life now. Yeah.
All right.
Somewhere around.
It's a young life still, right?
Hopefully.
Yes.
I'm hoping so. Fingers crossed,
yeah,
man.
Well, Matt, you again, with the musician, you're part of a cover band, Speaker, and you're with another band, Edgar Red, which is original stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about both of those bands, but before we get into that, let's take us down the Matt Moore music memory lane. When did you get the bug? How did it all culminate until you got here doing your thing?
I love the M sequence there.
Yeah.
I mean, just,
M squared.
well, when I was 13 is when I really picked up the guitar, with intention, beyond just having one sitting around or something. I mean, my parents got me a guitar when I was much younger. I'd inherited a pretty cool, 50s Fender Music Master too. It's
Sweet.
like a, single coil 3/4 kind of size guitar. But when I was younger, it didn't really click until I was 13. I guess, I don't know, maybe it's hormones or, the rock and roll bites everybody at a different age.
13, your middle school chicks you're starting to pay attention to chicks at that time?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And then had you come to the notion that a dude playing a guitar, a musician, and the chick thing, that whole correlation there?
It happens in every musician's head at some point.
Yeah.
Before you even realize what's happening. That's just usually how it goes. But yeah, when I started, I learned "Highway from Hell," the AC/DC song. Some people's like "Smoke in the Water."
Mm-hmm.
That was my first song.
Okay.
But yeah, from there it was the biggest inspiration I had back then was my cousin Vernon. That was my dad's first cousin, so
Gotcha.
he's a little older than me.
Mm-hmm.
He died a couple years ago at 54.
Oh.
Had a massive heart attack. But this was 13 years ago, 14 years ago now. He was just an amazing monster guitar player, songwriter. Multi-instrumentalist that lived in a trailer in eastern Kentucky all his life, essentially. Lived his entire life down there. And every now and then he would come up just to get away, just to get some work, just to do something.
Here in Louisville, you're saying?
Yeah, outside.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. A little bit more rural direction.
Gotcha. All right. Okay.
But yeah, the most that he ever got, as far as playing music around here, was Carrollton. He had kind of he nerves. That was the bad thing about his talent. He had nerves real bad.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess from that side of the family, I got some talent.
Yeah.
From my mom's side of the family, I got some character and some
charisma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's the performer. You got the performer from your mom's side.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So, safe to say, your cousin there, influential to your whole music?
Oh, heavily.
Yeah.
I mean, he was, sitting around before I actually was playing the licks and stuff. It was sitting around and watching and understanding how everything's happening on the fretboard and everything.
And so, musically, did you, like in school? So you're 13, you're a teenager at this. You're learning music at this point. in school. So were you like in the concert band? Did you play anything at school? Were you involved in music at school? Or?
Not in the band.
Okay.
I remember there was actually one point in time when I was in maybe 8th grade. You know, I'd been playing music for a year or two or something like that. And the music teacher, he cornered me one morning when I was turning in an assignment or something. Like I was in a music class, but I didn't want to get into the band thing.
Right.
It wasn't what I wanted to do. You know, I have my own reasons. Everyone does.
Right.
Just because you can strum a chord on a guitar doesn't necessarily mean you want to be standing proper and, you know, singing like you have an egg in your mouth and stuff like that. I wasn't going to do that. But he cornered me in the morning one time in his little office. This thing was like probably about as tight as this table, man. And I could like smell his like
what he had for breakfast.
bacon, egg, and cheese, you know, on his breath. And he was like, "You're gonna join choir."
Yeah.
Or you know, or else, basically, is what he's trying to say. He wasn't really threatening me, but he was. I felt threatened.
But he's doing that from a perspective of seeing and understanding that you had some talent there.
Right. Oh yeah, I'm totally cool with that. You know, I understand that.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, looking back on it, it would have been a great thing for me to do.
Yeah.
But then again, I took the other road.
Which was
less formal, just kind of DIY building,
right?
I guess.
Okay. So a lot of it's self-taught musically yourself.
Yeah, you know, and around that same time, you know, I took some lessons with a teacher that, you know, it was again, it was kind of like going the other road.
Right.
He taught me how to teach myself.
Gotcha.
You know.
Yeah.
That way, everything becomes my own goals, my own direction, and stuff like that.
It's you at that point. Influences. I mean, you mentioned your cousin, but I mean, at that point in your young life, you know, obviously you're probably taking in or paying attention to what's happening, you know, from a mainstream perspective. Some of your influences, you know, at that point.
So, you know, first getting started, I mean, everyone's top two, you know, it's like AC/DC and Metallica or something like that, but you know, very
so
quickly,
heavy was your thing. You were really
and it got much heavier with, you know, the guys that I was playing with, which, you know, the first band that I started lasted for 10 years straight out of 13 years old. The music evolved heavily, you know,
was
with
that
our
the
changes.
Reign of Revelation.
Yeah.
I like that name.
Yeah. It's funny that you found that, man.
Yeah.
But from there, you know, we started listening. Well, all right, this is, we love rock and roll. We've determined that. You know, we start listening to bands like, you know, you start listening to Megadeth. You start listening to the music that is transcended from them, from their roots. You know, Lamb of God. We got really into, like, you know, metal that wasn't so much singing anymore. It was like people are
screaming.
People are screaming at you. People, you know, it's letting the aggression come out
exactly
into whatever it sounds like, not necessarily trying to put it into some kind of lyrical thing and just let it be vocal. You know, in that kind of sense. But anyway, you know, the music in that band started getting much heavier. We started fancying kind of these like niche.
But it was still cover music at that point, right?
No, not back then.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't actually start playing in any kind of cover band thing until like mid high school. We just when we would just whip out a couple guitars and try to get a gig or something. It was much different than it was now. But it was the foundation of everything I have now.
Exactly.
You know, because we had.
Looking back now, you have a whole new probably respect for it because it laid it out for you.
Absolutely. Because I don't know as many people that have been as lucky to have those experiences that, you know, took it the same direction. Because I mean, for the last since we've been 21, which is going on 6 years now, we have played music for most of our living. You know, a lot of that's been the cover bands. That's something you'll never escape if you're trying to DIY anything. You're always chasing goals with your original band. But you know, I'm thankful for every one of those little bumps and curves along the way. And man, there's a lot of them.
Now, you sing with your band before we get into Speaker and Edgar Red, you're a vocalist. When did you realize that you're going to be a singer? You know, that you could sing this stuff.
That was long after the start of the band.
Okay.
Actually, if we're keeping it in the past for a second. You know, circa 2005, I guess.
Okay. Shit,
You know, 2006. So
Okay.
we were playing actually, yeah, when we first got started, we were playing straight AC/DC
Okay.
cover sets
Gotcha.
with no vocals.
Oh, really? None.
Yeah.
Really?
But I guess we were cute enough to like people would actually be entertained.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at the.
But probably at that point, what was the audience doing? Were they just singing to the music themselves, or?
For real, they were watching us because
Yeah.
they were. I mean, honestly, like, I think they were fairly impressed that we were actually able to like hold a chord and stuff
Right.
like that.
Okay.
You know that, and our drummer was awesome, and he was
Yeah.
13 too, just like the rest of us. You know, we were at
Kids,
the
man.
point in time. You know, we were like a little powerhouse of rock and roll. You know that you know was entertaining.
Right. Okay. So then
Long
how
time
did how did the vocals again?
Yeah.
What point did you decide, man, we gotta just we gotta sing along to this music?
Yeah, I think it was just slowly integrated over time. No one else was going to step up,
Right.
so I did. But honestly, I was doing vocals for bands for years before I really, harnessed my own trade
Right.
at it. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say within the last maybe 4 years is when I've started to become a professional vocalist. You know, we were playing lots of gigs and making good money and stuff like
Right.
that, but still it wasn't like that guy is a really good singer,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
Where and I want to be humble, but still nowadays it's like if I'm on point I can feel it,
Right.
and other people notice that too. So
Yeah. I'm digressing a little bit, but I've been quite entertained and impressed from with the speaker thing, vocally and instrumentally. So well, let's go. All right, so we're past past the reign of revelation. Speaker's been a very known local band. Tell us about how that all got started.
yeah, absolutely. So towards the end of my-
And the reason why you leave all the vowels out.
Oh, yeah, that was
Which is cool. I
Just
like it.
marketing,
Yeah, I
like
like
back
it.
when I originally came up with that idea, it was
Well, on the on the Wheel of Fortune, vowels do cost extra, so you were just trying to save some money. I'm
good.
guessing.
Oh
there,
yeah,
there you go.
and that's what rock and roll's all about when you're
Exactly.
getting it kicked up,
Need
and,
it, yeah, every penny.
But yeah, so with the same band that I had started when I was 13 years old, with Mac, he's still playing with me.
Okay, yeah.
And a couple other of our really good friends. We're still in great contact with these guys. But, we kept a band together for 10 years. That was Reign of Revelation, the metal band. It was a metal band,
Right.
And we wanted to do something different. So that's when the idea of Speaker was kind of created. We wanted to just take it into a rock format. And so we started doing that, towards the end of college for me. Just to see what we could make of it. I started writing some acoustic songs, some rock songs, some stuff like that. And we started playing out as an original band called Speaker.
Right.
And we had a book of covers, that we were doing too, that we would get cover gigs with, so we were kind of straight up the middle there for a while. We would play, original band showcases with 3 or 4 other bands, not making any money, and playing cover gigs at, places like this, places like Diamonds, that's where we really started making our connections either way. But
Right.
we started doing that, and then we went on a tour that
Oh, yeah?
went horribly wrong.
Oh.
Just horribly, horribly wrong.
Care to share a story or something? Why did it, in a nutshell, not going too deep, what went wrong?
Well, I can't talk about anybody getting arrested or if
Okay.
anybody fought or anything
Yeah.
like that. But in general, it was just that force of having, trying to make yourself out to be an artist, someone who is writing their own songs and playing things their way because it's theirs,
Right.
versus that glass ceiling of the cover band. It might not matter in the right setting. You might play all night and then play one song that you wrote, and people might love it. And people might come, but it's just not the case for us.
No, it's right. Yeah.
It's been, when back then when we were doing that, you know, anybody who knew us as a cover band would always force us to play covers, you know, and it's like, hey man, like, I love your support, but dude, we got like 29 and a half minutes. Like, we just don't have time for that. Like, sorry.
Right. Yeah. Which sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, at that point, I realized there's got to be a dichotomy here. And otherwise the goals are just going to be crashed.
Right.
You know, Louisville's not a city where you can do that, is my foundation.
No, and I hate that. I really do hate it, because my preferred, I tell this story all the time. Whenever I walk into a venue, I love my friends and their that cover me, cover bands or whatever, but if I can walk into a venue and just feel some music, not know it but feel it, that's the shit to me.
Absolutely. Same for me. And I'm not saying it's not possible through a cover song. An artist can do that, but we're talking grand scale kind of things. You want to be able to capture the whole room wherever you are. And so you take Nashville for example. Obviously country is much more prominent there, but still you can get away.
There is an underground of
absolutely. But there's kind of in my opinion, Nashville is a place where you can get away with being just a badass cover band. Throw in, sprinkle the originals. Sprinkle the originals. Like, that's what what you guys need to do is sprinkle some originals in there. And I'm like, well, here, man, here's a sticker for my original band, Edgar Red. No strings attached and no holds bar for that band.
Good.
And I think one tie that I want to draw to that too, before we change subjects here. A few years ago, I learned that Louisville has the most restaurants per capita. So
that is correct.
And restaurants often have cover bands, a lot of them.
Right.
And I think that might be a bit of a reason why the scene's developed the way it has.
That's an interesting take on it, but I think you're right, man. I really do.
Food for thought,
Yeah, that's an interesting. I would like to. I have to explore that more, but that's a good take. Speaker, I saw you just had a gig. I want to say maybe not this past weekend, the weekend before. I saw you guys, and again, love the sound.
Appreciate it.
I mean, it's you all are on point. I've seen you guys with. I know Eric was playing bass, but I've seen you with Culligan on.
Of course.
And you got some very talented people. So take us now to. It's not a really. It's new, but it's not.
It's been an idea for a long time. It's been long forming, but we're just now really starting to turn the gears.
Edgar Red here.
Because we've only been gigging out since last October. We're just now about to release our first album. We've not released anything but like a couple singles before that, and we've also been just trying to reel in our fan base. Like, all right, we've got a grasp on a lot of people here, but how do we actually engage them through this page, through this email, through this Twitter, which I do have, I think. But
I couldn't find you, but
see, things like that. It's tightening up all those things.
No, you're right. Yeah.
But what really got that started for me was, after the speaker, 2-in-1 kind of deal fell apart. It's like, all right, well, I'm going to just turn Speaker into a cover band and create a new original band. And the name actually comes from my grandparents, my grandfather on my father's side, my grandfather on my mother's side.
That's cool.
Edgar was my dad's name.
I love when people can, keep, bring that family thing together. I like that. Yeah. So.
And then Red was my mom's dad's nickname.
Yeah.
And Edgar, in the late 1950s, he bought this Gibson SJ, which was like top of the line acoustic Gibson you could get at the time. And we still have it in the family. Like, my dad kept it all them years. Like, my dad never really grew his musicianship past, strumming some chords and kicking around. So he was real thrilled whenever I kind of caught on to that, But yeah, so anytime there's an acoustic session or something, or if I'm writing, I'll pull out that guitar just because, I want something else beyond what I've got in my own head or my own body, to kind of like help me. And that's the perfect tool for me specifically and no one else,
Right. Well, give us, elaborate, what's Edgar Red all about? I see that you got the album. Is it a full album? Or?
Yeah, technically it is. It was just going to be an EP. We had one kind of Easter egg song on there that we were going to keep as a free download for an email kind of thing. But I just got to thinking, man, I'm like, I don't want to hide this from anybody. I really like this song.
Good.
But yeah, Culligan actually was, hey, Frankie.
I got all the talented young cats here tonight.
But yeah, so Paul Culligan, we met him at a speaker gig a few years ago now, 3 maybe, when we were having this idea. We were putting the album together.
Right.
And
so this dates back about 3 years, really?
Me and Paul meeting, yeah.
Okay. For this, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
And we met him at Diamonds randomly, and we've been playing at Diamonds for a while, but we'd never seen him.
Gotcha.
And one of our buddies started saying, "Hey, man, like
he's a days of the new. I mean, he's a little local legend here.
Yeah. And he's proven that to me time and time again. With
love him,
just everything about. I could go on.
Oh yeah, no, we could.
Give me on another segment so I can brag about Paul.
Paul will hijack the segment if we let him. But go ahead.
Yeah, but so either way, I'll try to shorten that up. He wanted to kind of take on a bit more of a production role with this, and I needed someone to track the drums anyway. So I was like, "Would you please do this?" And he was like, "Hell yeah, absolutely."
Good.
And we went into Brian Cronin's studio, Goldsmith, laid everything down on tape, sent it off to Portland, Oregon. Founder of Tape Op magazine mixed it. Larry Crane, he's a monster and has done work with so many bands, big time stuff. Elliott Smith, if you've ever heard of him.
I heard, yeah.
The archivist for that guy, Decemberists and Death Cab for Cutie, and so the work is incredible. Yeah. He really made us sound good, man. I owe half of it to him, dude.
Good, very good.
But we're gonna release it on September 9th.
Right.
We're gonna have an album release show on the same day at Club Nirvana.
Okay. Right down the street. Yeah. Okay.
Not very far off, and we're gonna tour on it. Come Friday through that week. So we've got some like East Coast and up kind of dates.
Well, I noticed that. Share with us real quick. I'm guessing for September, you actually are going on the road with
that.
This.
We are. I was working on the van just today. I think I got all the grease off my hands. But so this is, basically 4 years in the remaking of that first tour that we went on when I determined, what we're doing right now with this isn't what we need to be doing.
Right.
So this is the new Mayflower right here,
I like that.
But yeah, we're taking off on Friday, Charleston, West Virginia, then to DC, then Baltimore and up. Mac's birthday's on Monday, so we're probably going to spend Monday in Atlantic City. We got
Mondays in Little Lake. Not this
Labor
coming.
Day.
Oh, so you are okay. All right,
we're leaving on Friday.
This coming Friday. Okay,
we'll be gone for about 10 days.
Gotcha.
And we got Philly coming back through Pittsburgh to Columbus and down.
Can I ask, how are you landing these gigs? I mean, these locations.
It's not easy, my friend. When you're doing it yourself like this, man. You've got to build your own connections in these cities you've never been to, because I've done the South thing and I had good things going down there, but I hit up my old correspondence, nothing was really coming through, so I was just going to have to find some new places without going to some new places, so it was hours and hours, days and days, months ahead of time. About 3 months ago is when I started this process, just emailing, researching venues, contacting bands, asking their opinions, this and that, and then also trying to see like, hey, if we get this date, y'all want to play with us, that kind of stuff. So it's going to be, not every bar will be a dive bar, but everyone probably will be, and I'm like, I love that. It's totally fine. But show swapping is another thing too. That's how you get the bands on board, and we've done it with many bands. We did it years ago with them. They say, hey, if you all play with us, we'll bring you to our town.
Return the favor, right?
So that's It's I'm glad that stage of the process is over.
So September 9th, Edgar Red is his self-titled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just self-titled.
How many
LP.
tracks will be on it?
It'll be 7 tracks.
Cool.
We've got one single up right now. It's called Orange Skill Billy.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be the first. That'll be the first track on it. And the direction of that one, you think it's going okay. What is this? You know, but it's not exactly. It doesn't fully flesh out that direction of the music. You know, it's a very it's the variety on that.
How would you label the sound of this album?
We've been trying to do that for years now.
Do you have a?
Well, yeah, it's rock and roll, man.
Okay.
It is rock and roll in its essence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, there's been blood, there's been sweat, there's been tears, other bodily functions to all of the necessary ones. There's
So
probably
rock and roll.
seven necessary evils when it comes
Yeah.
to. But that's what it is. You know, it's not quiet,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not laid back exactly per se, and it's not too intense depending on who you are.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing that I am going to start doing, obviously Petey Compton, Petey from,
Love Petey.
yeah, he's a good guy,
Great things.
great supporter of the music scene. I've got to find a way for all you original music people to play your stuff more often. So that's like my pledge heading into next year, doing my part, using this show status, whatever I have to do to, get some gigs or events with it's just original music.
Mm-hmm.
That's to me.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
And it's just it takes so much out of people when they do that. And I know that you have that kind of stamina to do something like that. But it's totally possible.
Yeah. There's a lot there are a lot of great original bands in town.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
there are so many,
Yeah.
man. There really are. I mean, you can go to any club on this street, and you're gonna see amazing music.
Right. Yeah.
In every one, and you're going to see phenomenal original music in most of them,
Totally agree.
But, it's about making it more prominent. Let's get it out of this little area. Let's get it moving further,
Exactly. All right, Matt Moore doing his thing. Again, Edgar Red, the album release September the 9th. You've got the album release, I guess, event that you mentioned. Is it on September 9th as well?
Yeah, it's on that Sunday.
at
We'll
Nirvana
be coming straight back in from Madison, Indiana
Really?
that day.
Okay. All right. Social media, where can everyone connect with you, the band?
We've got edgarred.com, facebook.com/edgarred, or at Edgar Red, Instagram, Edgar Red Music, and then we've got a pretty good hashtag of just hashtag Edgar Red going.
Gotcha.
It's mostly us. There's some dude in Mexico trying to step on me, Edgar Rojo, but I'm not kidding. But nothing against that guy. I mean, he's but. But yeah, that's how you can get in touch, and we're going to be hashtagging Vulture Wolf too. That's what we're calling this tour, the Vulture Wolf tour. So,
Gotcha.
If you add that hashtag, you might be able to see something that I'll have to pull down for graphic nature of this program. I don't know.
Again,
I don't know what you're going to see.
Yeah, so rock and roll. Well, Matt, I guess the tour kicks off at the end of this week. Best of luck. I will be at the September 9th show. I want to check it out.
Awesome, man.
So lots of success, and and with Speaker, I love the whole Speaker thing too. So
I appreciate it, dude.
Thanks for hanging out with me.
Hey, I love your work, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right.
Shooting from the lip.
Thank you.
Let's get busy.
continuing with my on-site remote here at Baxter's 942 in the Highlands of Louisville, Kentucky. It is Tuesday, August 28th. Shooting from the Lip, episode 349. Continuing tonight with my buddy, Mr. Frankie Moody.
Hey, how's it going?
Mr. Moody, how are you, man?
Doing great. Pleasure to be here.
It is, we finally have got the schedule right.
I know, right?
Because you gig on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, I'm every other Tuesday night at
Gerstle's. And I think for whatever reason, either I've already booked or you're
playing somewhere else.
Playing.
Yeah.
Scoping chicks. But you were weren't you out of town last weekend though? Or last week? Weren't you?
I was in, well, last week I played Gerstle's. The week before that,
week
I was in Florida. So, yeah.
Vacation?
Vacation, yeah. Had a little family.
Good.
Yeah. I usually one week out of the summer, me and my family go on vacation.
Well, good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, you're still a kid, so you get to hang out with your family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. Mr. Moody and his music thing. For the people out there listening, watching, you're a single guy.
Very single, yeah.
Young single guy.
Young single. Well, I'm getting older, but
How
I'm
old
still
are
pretty
you?
young. I'm 27.
27. Okay.
Yeah.
No, you're pretty young. Take us. Let's go back a little bit in time. When did Frankie get the music bug?
Well, when I was a kid.
You are a kid. Can you
I
elaborate?
I was about 5, 6 years old, and remember my dad had these Garth Brooks VHS tapes, and he'd always play them in the house. And I would just, I always wanted to play guitar from that. I always wanted to do what he did on stage, and I called it.
Who is arguably one of the greatest entertainers of all time.
For my money, he's the best.
Yeah.
But, I'm biased. I grew up on that. But anyone go see his show, man, go. It's awesome. But, they got me hooked, and then I begged my mom to give me guitar lessons. And or to sign me up, and we did that.
Is it still about what age is that?
About
when you
6.
picked 6?
About 6.
Okay.
I could barely hold the guitar up.
Yeah, but at 6 years old, you knew guitar was you wanted to try.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And most kids aren't like that. Most kids are, but I just I loved it. And I remember like a couple years into it, I didn't think I was getting any better, and I wanted to quit. My dad was like, "No, you need to keep doing this." He's like, "You got a talent for it." Like it was about 9 or 10, and I was like,
at 9 or 10, is it safe to say that your dad, when you're having this issue with debating on whether or not you want to do it, did your dad use the word chicks?
well, my dad, he played sports in high school, and he said, "Man, if I could do it again, I'd play the guitar."
Yeah.
He was like, "You know what?" But he did. But yeah, he definitely.
Yeah,
those words came out of his mouth at some point. Yes.
Maybe not at 9, but
yeah. No. Well, when I got a little older.
You got a little older, and then you got it. You were like,
"Yeah,
you're right."
Well, yeah. And it's kind of funny though. My career, so I was 9 or 10. He told me to keep playing. And I did, and I had this turn. I guess this is what kids do, though. I was like 12, 13, and I was all in the country when I was growing up, and then I went right into rock. Like I got an electric guitar, started playing lead in bands in high school, and did the whole Battle of the Bands thing, and never really thought about singing or anything. And then
has Louisville always been the hometown?
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
all
I
your
was
life.
Born and raised here.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to St. X.
St. X, a little Catholic boy there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, getting into school, was music part of the school thing? Were you playing? No, at school.
At school, no.
Okay.
No, this was totally an extracurricular.
Right.
It was. No, I was not in the choir or anything like that.
But at that time, you want to play music.
Mm-hmm.
When did the singing come into play?
That's what I was about to say.
Okay,
so
cool.
the singing, actually, I never thought I was a really good singer until, because I was trying to sing rock things that were a little like.
Who heard you sing in the shower and said, "You can sing"?
Well, it was actually me hearing myself in the car one day. I was, I had country radio on, and I was singing a George Strait song or Garth Brooks song, can't remember, and I was like, whoa, that kind of sounds all right. I can hit all these notes. I have my voice. I have the tone for that, and so I was like, man, let's see if I can do this. So I started really focusing on country music again, and actually, it's kind of funny. I went to see Garth Brooks again and saw the way people reacted to him in person. You remember Garth retired?
Right.
I couldn't see him
Yeah.
for what, like 10,
10,
yeah.
at least 10. Yeah, 10, yeah, 10-ish years.
Yeah. So he did some flood relief concerts in 2010. And
Well, yeah, because at that point, you're still young.
I was,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
And basically went there, and I was just blown away again, like I was when I was a kid. And I was like, man, that's what I'm gonna do. And I did it. I remember I got an acoustic guitar, started singing. I went down to Guitar Center, cut a demo, and from there I just.
How old were you then?
20. I think I was 20, and I was really green to singing. Didn't really know what was going on, but I just remember I got my first gig at Hooters, and
Really?
I walked in there. Yeah, I walked in there.
Which what location?
Dutchman's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did have some. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's probably me.
Yeah.
If you walk in there, so it's
Probably,
probably me playing.
Yeah.
The guy, the manager, was real. Like, I was so young, and he took me out back behind Hooters, and he had me sing him a song, and I was so nervous. And I remember I was literally like shaking playing, but I remember it sounded good, and he was like, all right, well, I'll let you know. And he ended up telling some of the people that work there, he's like, man, I'm gonna make so much money on this guy this summer. And so I played every Thursday night, like 7 to 10, and for what, $75 or something. I was really young, and it was really cool. I turned 21 that summer, so that was how young I was.
Your one of your first paying gigs?
It was my first paying gig.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd done some open mics, but
wait a minute, your first paying gig
was Hooters. Yeah.
Was Hooters. Not only are you singing, you're doing something you love, but then the visual.
Oh, the visuals. No complaints here, man. No
Orange
complaints here.
Orange was your new.
Orange was my new
Yeah,
favorite
very
color.
yeah.
Yeah. I actually ended up dating a Hooters girl actually after that too. But
Did you know? I know. The rock and roll lifestyle continues.
Yeah.
So, you're at this point. What's your sound at that point? Is it
my sound was very,
was it country? Okay.
It was almost totally country, but I liked other things. Like I said, I was really into rock, and so I started like just throwing in different songs like that to see if people would like me to hear me singing them, and it worked.
Right.
So, and that's one of the things I still do now is I play a lot of country. I'd say if you come to my show, it's 50-60% country. You're gonna hear a lot of country songs, but I love playing other stuff too.
What's the other stuff? I mean,
I'll do
give me a
classic rock.
Yeah, because a lot of the classics, that classic rock stuff, you can get away with to that country crowd.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I'll Motown.
Okay,
I do that.
Okay,
I
cool.
do.
Good.
I'll throw some Nelly, some rap in there. I love all types of music, man.
Good.
And I like to incorporate. It might sound country coming out of my mouth when I sing it, but
your fans, people who want to,
Exactly.
because you'll have that country sound. So
exactly.
Times I've gone to Gerstels or seen you play, you'll do some duos or singing with some. What's your preference? I mean,
I like them both. Playing with a band's really cool. I don't do that very much here in Louisville. In Nashville, it's really cool to do that. But I kind of like being in control of the show. Like I just like doing it.
Which is why there's only one host on this show.
I don't know why I'm sorry. No, but I love just being in control of what's going on and not, but also if like playing with really good musicians, you can't beat that. It's a good feeling too.
I've seen you all kill it when you're sharing the stage with someone.
Yeah.
Well, because I was gonna a nice segue with the Nashville thing. How you're doing? Go ahead.
Well, so I'm going back and forth now. So
Right,
during the week, I'm trying to go down there and write. That's my thing right now is writing good songs and meeting other writers down there. And I'm gigging here on the weekends right now. It's pretty much, except every other Tuesday.
Except our
Yeah.
But going, staying with Nashville, is it more of a band thing there? Is it?
Yes.
Okay,
yes, and all the musicians are.
So you've relinquished that control down there.
A little bit, yeah,
Okay.
a little bit. And I'm learning a lot, that I don't know everything about.
Well, I mean, Nashville is a good old boys club.
It is. You're not kidding. It is.
And for someone who, because when you said have control, and then we go into Nashville, I'm thinking, buddy's not gonna have that.
No.
Yeah. So
No, definitely not.
how does that work for you though?
It's working good.
All right.
You know,
So you're with some good people down there.
great
Yeah,
people,
okay, good.
awesome people, and yeah, hopefully it's just going to keep getting better. You know, the more people I meet down there. So
So this is an original thing.
yeah, it's an original
So-
thing. Well, you know, when we're playing live, it's hard to just throw
No,
your
right,
original
right,
music
yeah.
like back to back to back out there when
Yeah.
you're playing a club down there. But
Yeah, how much do you have on your original music? Do you have?
I've probably got 10 finished songs. 5 have been recorded. I have an EP, but I'm looking to re-record that and put a 10-song CD together.
Is there a time on that?
I don't have a time right now. I'm just trying to find the right person to record it right now.
Gotcha. And is that down in Nashville, or can you
it-
do it here?
I can do it here.
Yeah.
If I gotta find the right person to
Right.
to mix it and everything.
Right.
So
Gotcha. You mentioned some of your influences to this date. I mean, Garth was a huge influence back then, but right now when you're playing with today's, are you into today's country scene, country pop scene, the
You know what?
Aldeans and
you know what? I
Nick
actually
Bryan,
don't. I am more geared towards '90s country. That's kind of my roots, but I don't hate it. I think it's people like it, people enjoy it, and I don't. A lot of people are totally against it,
Right.
especially even in Nashville. They're like, "Man, this is not country music," and some of it's not. But I think a lot of it's good music if you really listen to it.
No,
So,
if you don't put label it, if
Yeah.
you just come in and want to listen to music,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, and it has totally gone pop. I mean, everything's real. Got to have a good hook.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
it's safe to say I'm not a huge country music fan.
Right.
I do like the '90s country, Garth Brooks and all that. I was talking to my daughter Claire. I mean, the Luke Bryans, Aldean, if they walked in here, I wouldn't know who they were.
really.
I would not. And the thing is, I don't listen to that. But
Right.
I've got a lot of country music friends here. You come, all these guys. I love their sound. That's a
Right.
great sound. And
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks.
yeah. What is traveling? You got. I mean, tell us about your gig schedule.
My gig schedule. So, my staple here in Louisville is Gerstle's. I think
That's
people
your
that-
home base.
It's my home base. Yeah, it's probably my favorite bar to play.
Home field advantage. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get a crowd out there. I mean, you get people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always fun, and I play several other places here in Louisville, Captain's Quarters. I pretty much all the bars in St. Matthews, I think, at one time or another, I played at, and I do.
Well, you bring up a good point. What is your take when it comes to the local music scene, venue specific? In your opinion, do we have enough? Is it just right?
I would love to have more,
Yeah.
but I think it's pretty good for what we have here. I think we have. It's a really kind of an underrated scene too. I think we have a lot of really good players, a lot of good
Definitely.
singers,
Oh yeah, definitely.
and I think it's pretty good. I think the places we have are great.
Mhm.
Like this place is great. I always see good bands play here. Gerstle's, Diamonds. I mean, those places are. And it's known for that. So I
Right.
think that's pretty cool.
And then, St. Matthews and the Highlands to me is the go-to place when it comes to the
Yeah,
local music scene,
exactly.
and I'm here or there as often as possible. Short-term goals for you. What do you
Well,
between now and 30? Because 30 is what, 3 years away, or it's about 30? You said, yeah.
It is.
So-
Let's say it again.
Yeah.
No, my short-term goal is to get this next CD out, get all my original music out there, and to go and write good songs and see what happens. I love performing. That's my favorite thing to do. So I'm not going to stop that. But the next 3 years, I guess we'll say till I'm 30, probably past that, but focus on writing because I really haven't done that. I've written songs, but I haven't really focused on it like I want to. And now,
Do you want to establish yourself as an original music?
yes, I want to be an artist. I do not want to be a cover band cover singer for the the rest of my life. And that's something I'm realizing with age. It's.
I mean, you're still young.
I know. I've been at it probably 5-6 years now, and I really now more than ever just want to get my stuff out there and have people hear it. Because I'm pretty excited about it, so hopefully other people are too.
Good. Like again, I've said I've seen you play, and I've got a lot of friends who see you playing. Everybody's thumbs up. They like Frankie.
That's awesome.
Good guy.
Yeah.
Social media. Where can people find you?
They can find me Frankie Moody Music on Instagram. Facebook page is the same, Frankie Moody Music. Snapchat.
I did find you on Twitter, by the way. You do.
I'm on Twitter too. I'm actually trying to bring that back from the dead. I have not been active on that. Yeah. But they can find me at the same tag on there, Frankie Moody Music, and the same tag on Snapchat. That's something I use a lot too.
Snapchat.
Do you have that?
No, because the kids do Snapchat. I don't do Snapchat.
Well,
too old for Snapchat.
It's a social media platform, man. I got to have it,
I think I got enough. Yeah, I don't need Snapchat. All right, Frankie. Off tonight. Back at Gerstle's every other week. What other standing gigs do you have besides?
Well, Gerstle every other Friday, every other Tuesday. So,
okay, so is it the same week or is off?
So this Friday I'll be at Gerstle's. And
okay,
then
so
Tuesday following it.
All right, so it's off weeks.
It's different weeks. Okay. And this month I'll be at Sullivan's Tap House every Saturday.
Cool. Every Saturday. Okay.
Every Saturday night you can catch me there. It starts at 11.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Good stuff. Frankie Moody, thanks for hanging out with me, man.
Anytime, man. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Good stuff. Thanks, brother.
Let's get busy.
All right, guys, continuing with the show here at Baxter's 942 in the Highlands on this Tuesday night, August 28th, our on-site recording. It's Shooting from the Lip, episode 349. Next up, my man, John Cosper, JC. Not the original JC.
Not the original.
Yeah, but welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation.
John, I don't know. I run across a lot of my guests on Facebook. So either we were friends and then I saw something you posted, or I saw it and we became friends, either way. But you are doing something that has been near and dear to me since I was a young kid. Professional wrestling. I say wrestling. A lot of people around these parts say wrestling, but it's wrestling to me.
When I first moved here, it was 88, fall of 88. I'm sitting in the principal's office, first day of junior high at Scribner over in New Albany, and they come over on the announcements, and the principal's reading everything off, and he starts talking about the wrestling team practicing at school. Like, wow.
He said wrestling. He said wrestling team.
He said wrestling.
And that's the real stuff. That was the real stuff. You are a storyteller, a wrestling historian. You are the writer-owner of Eat, Sleep, Wrestle. Before we get into that,
sure.
You mentioned you moved. I guess you moved here in Indiana in the late 80s, right?
The fall of 88. Yeah.
Okay. Give us a little background. What's your story?
Sure. I was actually born in Miami, kind of born and raised in Miami. I lived in South Carolina a few years, and Texas, and then ended up here in 88. Graduated from New Albany High School.
Miami to New Albany?
Yeah.
That's got to be.
Well, Miami to Houston to New Albany.
Oh, okay. So Houston, it's still okay, but then really, if you take it from that extreme, from Miami to New Albany,
it's funny though, because I had a bunch of buddies in the youth group down in Houston. They were all obsessed with Indiana basketball and Bobby Knight, because this was right after the '87 championship. And
they
found out I was moving to Indiana. I was like, oh, dude, can't believe it, Bobby Knight. Yeah. So yeah,
and it is around these parts. College basketball is nuts.
Oh, absolutely,
absolutely. Yep. So that's a different topic. Professional wrestling, man. I'm dating myself here. I was, I'm 51, so in the late 70s, in the 70s and early 80s, wrestling around these parts, this Louisville, this area, Evansville, Lexington, was mainly the territory was the Memphis territory,
Right.
Jerry Jarrett. I was hooked watching these wrestling shows every Saturday. Give us what got you into this?
What got me into wrestling? I really got into it when I was younger. It was actually in Miami during the rock and wrestling days, and I was into the music of the time. And I was in the A team, so seeing all of a sudden Cyndi Lauper and Mr. T on Entertainment Tonight with Hulk Hogan and all that was kind of what drew me to that. My friends were watching it, and I still remember the first time watching Superstars when my dad's like, "All right, fine." My grandfather was into wrestling. My parents were not. My mother always made him turn it off when we went to his house. But I remember
there's a pooper in every party,
exactly.
right?
Love you, Mom. But watching Randy Savage make his entrance with the sequin robe and Miss Elizabeth, pomp and circumstances, like, well, this is amazing.
So over the top.
And then the strange thing is when I moved here, it was 88, so it was after really the heyday of the Memphis and the Louisville Gardens. But what I got into when I moved here was every afternoon after school, World Class Championship Wrestling reruns from the Dallas Auditorium were on ESPN. I was watching the Von Erichs and the Freebirds and Dingo Warrior and Percival Pringle III, and I absolutely love that stuff. And still to this day, actually, there's a free channel on Roku called Rasslin that just throws random.
Percy Pringle, for better known in the WWE as
Paul Bearer. Who actually was a licensed mortician until the day he died.
A little factual tidbit there.
Indeed. So, yeah, when I got this, it was a free channel called Rasslin on Roku, and the first time I pulled it up, it just throws random matches at you. And the first thing it brought up was Freebirds, Von Erichs, and World Class. I was like, there we go. That's my wheelhouse right there. But what got me into writing about it was just, I guess it was when I was in my mid-20s, a friend of mine moved in with me for a while, and he brought his entire wrestling library. And I'd really gotten hooked on it in about 2001, and started. My first pay-per-view was No Way Out, 2001. Stone Cold, Triple H, 3 Stages of Hell, still one of my favorite matches ever. But
so your first pay-per-view was not until the 2000s?
Was 2000, yeah. So even there, I missed quite a bit.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 17 was right after that.
Right,
it's probably the greatest of all time.
Okay.
But when my friend Randy moved in with me, he brought all of his VHS tapes, he brought all of his books, and that was when I started getting into the history side and reading the books. And but it was years later, I was at lunch with my wife one day, and I was kind of in between. I'd written youth drama and Christian drama for years and years. I did that for 24 years. Actually, just stepped away from it earlier this year. And at that particular time, I still had that going, but I had a steady gig just starting. I was writing children's ministry curriculum. I'd actually just left a position at a high school in Indiana doing theater after hours. So I was kind of looking for something else to do. And I dabbled in doing film writing, and I dabbled in fiction writing, just throwing spaghetti against the wall, hoping something's going to stick one of these days, right? But I had this idea about writing a book about Louisville and about the history of wrestling in Louisville, and I knew about the Memphis days, particularly from the books. Mark James did such a phenomenal job chronicling the Memphis history, and then of course he had the OVW years, and you had, I mean, people don't realize this. 17 years ago, you could have gone to the Quadrangle in Jeffersonville on a Wednesday night for free and watched John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, Batista.
Right when they were just starting,
exactly,
the prototype back in the front,
So I'm at lunch with my wife and on a lunch break and at Penn Station, I said, I'm thinking about writing a book about the history of wrestling in Louisville. And she said, go for it.
Very cool.
Didn't need any more encouragement than that.
Yeah. So getting back to my love for the local wrestling thing, the territory, if you will. The early '80s. Jim Cornette is the guy you see on this one. We'll show off one of his books here.
Yep.
This is Bluegrass Brawlers: The Story of Professional Wrestling in Louisville. Forward by Jim Cornette, who to this day, I watched him debut, with the Memphis scene or Memphis wrestling, and I finally, I realized that early on at an early time when Memphis Wrestling, they did their TV shows on a Saturday morning, and it was live in Memphis. But we in Louisville wouldn't see it until the following Saturday, which what happens is at Memphis, being live on that Saturday, they'd have their Monday night matches at the Mid-South Coliseum based on that TV show.
Right.
So those same matches would be a week later here in Louisville. Yeah. And, it finally registered, I got that, and I could appreciate that. But I knew from an early on that, wrestling was... it was. I don't want to use it. It's not the. I don't want to say the F word because it's not. I mean, it's a work.
That's the best
way. But I appreciated what went into it. The characters and stuff.
Right.
But I still to this day have an issue with Vincent Kennedy McMahon hijacking the wrestling scene and causing these territories to
not only that, but hijacking the storytelling of the history of wrestling, which is
that too. That's a damn good point because they don't want to acknowledge the past.
In a large degree, they don't.
Yeah.
The big case I always bring up is women's wrestling. In 2 months they're getting ready to do the first ever all women's pay-per-view.
Right.
Shimmer's up to I think 102 or something like that. Women's pay-per-views, women's promotions have been huge on the independent scene for a long time, and the biggest thing is of course Vince Sr., before Vince Jr. was all about the fabulous Moolah. I mean, if you listen to them, Moolah is the beginning, and she's the greatest champion of all time.
Right.
Moolah never sold out a building. Moolah never main evented. It was Mildred Burke back in the 30s and 40s and 50s. For 22 years, she was women's wrestling, And Mae Young was a part of that, but Mae Young was a part of that because very often she was the other woman in the main event, but she wasn't the draw. It was Mildred Burke.
Gotcha.
But, good luck. Good luck getting that on the WWE network.
Yeah, so that in the fact that they never acknowledged territories, a wrestler's past,
right?
And that always bothered me. It's kind of changed a little bit. They've gotten a little looser with it now, but
you have a guy who's second in command who has a real appreciation
we're talking
the history.
Paul Levesque right now, or
indeed,
Triple H. Yeah.
He has an old school way of booking things. I'll tell you, I think you and I talked a little before. I'm not as big on what's going on Raw or SmackDown, but the other night I went ahead and I dropped another $10 to watch the NXT show Saturday. I was not disappointed.
Yeah.
It's a completely different animal, and it's just. The way it's handled and the way it's presented is different. Yeah,
his baby.
And I mean, they took Adam Cole, they took Ricochet, probably two of the best wrestlers in the world, and I mean, my goodness, that was a classic the other night. And
so there is still hope, if you will.
Hey, I'm going all in this week.
And all in.
Go see some really good stuff. Yeah, every match on the show is going to be that same level.
Oh yeah. We'll talk about that too in a little bit, but let's go back to. So you're doing your writing, you're hooking up with, I guess, Cornette and some of the local people. What, without going too deep, too worried, what was, based on your research and stuff, what was your take on the Louisville wrestling scene?
Well, you talked about just how hot it was in the late 70s, early 80s. I mean, really, Louisville took to wrestling early on. I mean, Bluegrass Brawlers goes all the way back to 1880. It really kind of took off in 1912, 1913, all the way through the 19-teens. It was very big at that time. Well, Ed Strangler Lewis, this is one of the early stories I picked up on, actually got the name Ed Strangler Lewis in Louisville.
Really?
He no-showed an event in early January 1913, and so the promoter had to send somebody else on, grabbed a guy named Bob Manigoff, said, guess what, you're Bob Fredericks, get out there. So 2 weeks later, the real Bob Fredericks walks into town. He says, well, I can't send you out there as Bob Fredericks. I said, tell you what, you're from Wisconsin. There was a big famous wrestler 10 years ago named Evan the Strangler Lewis. We're going to call you Ed Strangler Lewis. And Ed Strangler Lewis was born that night in January of 1913 in Louisville, Kentucky, down at the Opera House.
See, I'm pleading my ignorance here. I didn't know Louisville wrestling went that far back.
It did. It was about 1914. There's a couple interesting articles in the Courier Journal back then where it was controversial. Can we hold big wrestling shows at the Armory? This is a government-owned building and everything. So that was kind of controversial, but they started holding the big shows there. most of the weekly shows were done at the Opera House downtown. They were done at the
Right.
Buckingham, which became the Savoy Theater.
Maybe you know this. How, for the longest time, the business was protected up until, that when Vince announced that it was sports entertainment, but it was protected by the profession, the wrestlers. What was it like back then?
Even back then, there were people that were trying to poke holes in it. I found a story. It's not in any of the books, but it actually would have been the early 30s, where a couple fans went up to the promoter at the time, Haywood Allen, who was the booker, and they said, "Hey, how's Blacksmith Pedigo doing?" Saying he was injured here a couple months ago, and he was like, "Oh, he's still a ways away from recovery, but Blacksmith, he'll be back soon, and I'm sure he'll be back for revenge." And fans like, that's funny. We were in Indianapolis, and just Sunday night he was wrestling on the show in Indianapolis, and I was like, "No, that's impossible. I was at his house that day. He's injured." No. And they actually sent a letter to the editor of the Courier Journal along with the clipping from the Indianapolis Star showing Blacksmith Pedigo wrestling up there. So that aside, it was a lot easier to keep the secrets and everything.
Yeah, because of course the internet had changed everything.
There was no TV. There was no radio.
Oh yes.
There's a lot of instances. I'm researching a guy from Louisville named Jim Mitchell, who was known as the Black Panther, and it's funny that there's instances where he was, supposedly he's wrestling in one town.
Jim Mitchell, is that the one with the hand issue?
No, this is
okay.
he goes way back. Mitchell goes way back to. He started in the late 20s. So, but there are stories about him, where he was supposed to work in this town, but no, he was injured and everything. But he's wrestling in a different town that same night. Probably had been double booked, and they had to make up an excuse. Oh, he's sick. Oh, he's injured, or whatever. But yeah, it was a lot easier to cover and to write somebody out and to keep the secrets. And it was a big courtesy. Kayfabe was important to all of them, and it was their livelihood. One of the guys I worked with was Dr. D. David Schultz, who everybody knows he's the guy who slapped John Stossel for saying, "I think it's fake." And it was ingrained in David from day one by the legendary Herb Welch. You protect this business. This puts food on the table for your wife. It puts food on the table for your daughter. You protect this business no matter what, and that's why he was the one that Vince went to and said, "Go out there and take care of this guy."
Yeah. So, man, I'm an old school guy. I want it to seem real. I want with today's WWE, it's just and Vince did this in the 80s. To me, he brought cartoons to life, and that was a turnoff for me. And it was hard to watch it. It's still kind of hard to watch it now because, with WWE and being public, they're limited. When they promote, what is it, Hell in a Cell or Extreme, and you make it. They make these.
It's not quite as extreme.
No, it's not.
Right.
And so I struggle with that. But let's go back. Eat, Sleep, Wrestle. When did this all come about, and what are you trying to do with this?
Well, when I created wrote Bluegrass Brawlers, went out to actually some independent shows to promote it and everything, and I'd been to some independent shows and had visited some of the locals to kind of fill in the end of the story with the Louisville's history, but really kind of fell in love with just the independent wrestling scene and the men and women that are out there, busting their butts every weekend. And I wrote a book called Eat, Sleep, Wrestle, which was about independent wrestling, and interviewed about 24 wrestlers. This would have been about fall of 2014. So just kind of a snapshot. The big name that came out of it, she was known then as Crazy Mary Dobson, is Sarah Logan, who's now on Monday Night Raw. But it was really just kind of an encapsulation of, this is what it's like out there. This is who they are, and this is how they told their parents how they wanted to be a wrestler. This is the injuries they've dealt with and the struggles they've had. And that when I went to actually put together a website, and I wanted to have a central hub, and I didn't want to create a different domain name for every book because I'd done one for Bluegrass Brawlers as well. Eat, Sleep, Wrestle kind of became the default name, and I like that. I just registered the LLC earlier this year, so that's the label that I use. And really, what it's about is preserving the history, telling the real history of wrestling, not just the WWE branded and approved story. I want to tell the real story with every person that I work with or every story that I undertake, but also promoting what's good and what's out there. Because like you said, you're not a fan of WWE. I'm not as much of a fan of it, but I love New Japan. I love the independent stuff. I love the stuff I see on the High Spots Network. Ohio Valley Wrestling is getting ready to celebrate their 1,000th television episode. Right, yeah. IWA Mid-South's been running this area for 20 years. years, and you've got, a bunch of promotions, Paradigm Pro, Grindhouse, Pro Wrestling Freedom, all running over in Jeffersonville at the arena Too Tough Tony set up. And it's just a lot of great stuff out there, a lot of really talented people. And you mentioned people, taking it seriously and real. There's a guy in Owensboro. I plug this guy everywhere. His name's Teddy King. Teddy King can come out in front of an audience, even if they've never seen him, put a microphone in his hand. Everybody in that building is going to want to wring his neck within about 45 seconds. Two months ago, I'm watching him at the arena. There's a woman in the back row. She's standing up. She's got a baby under her arm. She's got tears in her eyes. She's screaming and swearing at this guy, in the ring. She's just, it was like, tell me that's not real. Yeah. If it certainly feels real to her right now, and it's just, it's beautiful.
That, and I still get on YouTube and watch the Memphis wrestling, especially back in the day, and I would be amazed when they do the shot out to the crowd and how they're reacting. A lot of people then still thought it was real, which is a testament to the to the performers, to how they're they're keeping it sacred, the storytelling.
And it's amazing, even back in the Louisville days, I went back and wrote a second book on Louisville, Louisville's Greatest Show, which highlighted that era, 1935 to 1957. That was an even hotter promotion maybe than Memphis. They packed out the Columbia Gym every Tuesday night, and they'd pack out the Louisville, that was the Jefferson County Armory at the time, for big shows. In fact, a couple shows in the late 50s, they got 9,000 people in that building, which they couldn't in the 70s because it had been remodeled. But there were a couple of times when the athletic commissioner banned the sale of seat cushions because the fans were throwing them in the ring when they got angry. And there were a lot of incidents, and there were a lot of times that that things got out of hand, and there were riots, and people got upset. And there was one night, the main event was supposed to be a man versus bear match, which happened a few times back then. But the match before that was a tag match, and it didn't go the way the fans wanted. The baby faces, the good guy tag team was like, we're going to stay, just sit in, we're going to wait here until we get our way. And the fans are all banging and they're stomping and everything. The bear wouldn't come upstairs, so they had to cancel the main event. It's like, we're not going to mess with, let the bear have his way. So
those type of gimmick matches, I'm still surprised that they could pull them off.
You had a lot of bear matches. Even in the Memphis days, you had bear matches. Back in the Haywood Allen days, Louisville's Greatest Show, you had alligator matches. And back in 1909, there was a famous incident with a guy who was supposedly a Zulu prince who came into Louisville on New Year's Day and wrestled a bull.
Wow. Here's another book, Don't Call Me Fake, Dr. D. David Schultz. I still, again, remember the John Stossel interview, that whole thing. I remember him during his Memphis time. Bret Hart. You had Bret Hart?
Bret Hart wrote the foreword.
Wow.
He spent a couple years up in Calgary. And they put him on the road. They put him in a program with Bret. Bret was probably 20 or 21.
Yeah, and, Stampede.
Bret could Bret could not have been more gracious. It was like anything David wants or needs. He taught me so much about psychology and about how things work.
How long ago? When was this book?
That was released actually in February.
Oh, recent then.
Yeah,
this year.
This one's fairly new. And the first half of the book tells the story about his wrestling career, and how he got into the business, the guys he worked with. There's obviously some Calgary stories, AWA stories, and of course his WWF and the John Stossel incident.
What happened with him, really? The fallout with the Stossel.
There was a lawsuit, and Stossel won his money, and then Vince went after David to try to get some money, and it ended up in a resolution where they both walked away, and the agreement was supposed to be that they wouldn't get anything from David, and they would never use David's likeness on TV again. If you go on the WWE network, because there's some of his famous greatest hits on the TNT show are still up there, so they violated the agreement. But it was really an incident backstage in Los Angeles. Vince was not there, but Jay Strongbow on his behalf fired David. It's kind of a complicated story, but it was they were alleging that he was going to go after Mr. T and something untoward was going to happen, and they were looking for a way to get him out. Vince could not control David, and it's in WWE, it's Vince's way or the highway, and that's why a guy like Cody Rhodes left and said, I want to go out and do my own. And I heard him on a podcast just the other day saying, I don't want to go back. I don't want somebody to say, here's a script, read this. I want to be who I am, and I want to do my own direction. That's how David was.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk Cody Rhodes, the All In just a second. But as a historian, as someone who truly appreciates wrestling, indies, the people who, eat, sleep, and live it. I've been wanting to ask this question. If you're especially if you're old school and you're doing the indie thing and you're working your ass off, and say you get to the WWE, you've established yourself on the indie scene as whoever. You're either your character or your persona, you've established it. Then you get to the majors, you get to WWE, and they hand you some gimmick or character that is just totally
yellow polka dots
or a rooster,
right. Yeah.
I struggle with thinking these guys who have busted their ass off to do the the indie thing, and they've established themselves for several years as a certain way, and then they go to WWE and are being asked or told to, this is your new character.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the general? I mean, I guess if you're wanting to be in WWE, you have to conform to that. But
I mean, it's WWE. Even today, really, from the vast majority of wrestlers, if they call and they say, we want you to come in and do this character, most people are going to take it.
Yeah.
And the reason is the money.
Money, clearly.
I mean, it's a chance that you secure your future, secure your family's future, take care of your children, take care of your wife, take care of your husband. It's really the security. In recent times, just the last couple of years, there have been guys that have blazed the new trail. You have the Young Bucks, you have Cody Rhodes, you have Kenny Omega, you have guys who went out, got their own t-shirt deals, created their own YouTube shows, created their own enterprises. There are wrestlers outside of WWE not affiliated, with any one specific, they're working with Ring of Honor or New Japan or Impact or whatever, but they're making 6-7 figures.
Yeah, still.
On their own, and they've done it on their own. So that opportunity has never been there, and it's still not there for most of them. There's a lot of folks on the indies. I would love to see. There are a couple of people. I'm not going to name specific names, but I would love to see them get that call from WWE, because I'd love to see them get that payoff. I'd love to see them get that security, even if they put them in NXT in the training center and say, "Here, train the next generation." I'd love to see that happen for them because they've earned it. But there's a lot of them out there too. And I'm like, stay where you're at and build your brand, because you have something really wonderful, and they're going to hand you something completely different and rewrite you, and they're going to take away everything that's special about you.
Yeah, clearly WWE is at the top of the mountain. Ring of Honor getting closer.
Nobody's close, but they've turned the corner. Impact's turned the corner.
Impact, in the mid 2000s, they were starting to make some noise when Kurt Angle showed up. They got these were former WWE, and then Hogan and Bischoff arrived and basically hijacked it and shot it to hell. But WWE has zero competition. Cody Rhodes, Jets, leaves the WWE, starting to do his own thing. This pay-per-view, this event, All In, sells out. Correct me if I'm wrong, it's the first non-WWE to have a 10,000 plus sellout. Yep. I think WCW did it probably back in their time too, it's in Chicago. The fan fest around it, I just got a text before.
And
you're going to it. You're going
to this that are going to be there.
Well, tell us about this, because this is groundbreaking.
This is great stuff. Yeah. It really is. The all in show. It's going to be 10,000 people in there. I'm very lucky to be one of the people that's got a ticket for the show. Actually going with my friend that got me into the wrestling books years ago.
Are you going as a media, or are you just going?
I'm going as a vendor. Dr. D and I will be there Friday and Saturday. He will be signing autographs and signing books Friday and Saturday. He'll be appearing on the Wrestle Crap podcast on Friday as well.
Oh, nice.
But and then I'm going to the show on Saturday with my friend, and very excited for the show. I'm a huge New Japan fan. Okada's going to be there. I cannot wait to see Okada. seeing Okada live, to me, that's going to be the best part of it. But I mean, and just being there and seeing this, it's a revolution of sorts, you know, because you've got a lot of people that are fed up, and they're tired of what's going on with WWE. They're tired of this and that. And it's a Chicago crowd, you know, which is always the most energetic and the most opinionated and everything. And there's going to be surprises, you know. And I've heard speculation: this guy's going to show up, that guy's going to show up. You know, I'm avoiding the spoilers and going to go and see what happens. But I mean, it's an exciting time, you know. And I'm watching. It's been really neat to watch and follow the independent scene the last couple of years and see people moving up. One group, they were the best kept secret in the independents, was a group called Ohio is for Killers. Jake and Dave Christ out of Dayton, Ohio. These guys are also training some of the absolute best guys coming up right now as well. Names you're going to hear in the next couple of years like Zachary Wentz, Trey Miguel, Desmond Xavier, Ace Austin, Myron Reed. These are the stars of the future, and they're all coming out of Dayton, Ohio right now. But those guys were the best kept secret in the Midwest. They ended up working for Ian Rotten at IWA Mid-South in Jeffersonville for a while. They're now the Impact Tag Champions. They're Ohio versus everything. And I mean, it's been really neat watching those guys move up. It's been neat watching Sarah Logan move up, and seeing independent wrestling really kind of take wings, seeing people be able to make a full-time living at it. There's guys out there like Brutal Bob Evans, he's kind of the Seth Godin or the Yoda of the independent wrestling scene, telling guys, you know, this is how you do it. You know, get a couple guys in a car, share the hotel room, share the rental fees on the cars, eat bologna sandwiches. You know, find a way to make money. Don't just be out there weekend warriors. Oh, look, I wrestled for $25. You know, and spent $100 to get there. You know, here's how you make money at it, and guys are listening, and they're, you know, what's really neat too is the guys that are, you know, I've always one thing I've kind of come to realize is in the old territory days, you know, guys learned by, for example, Stone Cold learned by sitting backstage. Dutch Mantell sat him in a chair. He said, "You watch every match," and that's how Stone Cold learned. That was taken away.
Dutch gave him the Steve name,
right? Steve Austin name. But that was taken away when the territories went away. But what have you guys got now? You guys have YouTube. You know? And this is, you know, when Ian Rotten had CM Punk and he had Chris Hero, Dave Prazak, Colt Cabana, they go to Ian's house at night. They'd watch his old VHS tapes, and that's why those guys are a step above. But everybody now, you've got stuff going all the way back to the 40s and 50s. You've got territory stuff from the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
That's a great
watching
point,
these tapes. Some of them are going back and discovering old school stuff. There's a guy up in New York I love, Mr. Darius Carter. Mr. Darius, not just Darius Carter. But Mr. Darius Carter, if you get him on an interview show, he's not going to shoot with you. He's going to be in character. He's going to play. He's going to be Mr. Darius Carter. You're not going to get his real life story. You go to see a show, he's not going to sell you a T-shirt. Bad guys don't sell T-shirts.
No, they don't.
You know, he's pure old fashioned, and there are guys who are starting to pick up these little things, and the little things are the difference, and that's what's going to make it for a lot of them.
I love that. You know, with this all-in event, it's safe to say WWE is not sweating it. They have to be. They surely have to notice.
They're planning to take a lot of that TV money they made, and they're planning to sign a lot of guys at the top of this card, so they're not in Madison Square Garden, you know, WrestleMania weekend next year. That's what they did. Yeah, that's why they went and they raided and they got Nakamura and AJ Styles and Kevin Steen a couple years ago, and they're looking to do another raid. And you know, but the thing is now, that option's there for guys to make almost as much money, you know. And it's a tough situation for WWE because you can throw $100 million at a Cody or at a Young Bucks or something like that, but what does that do to the guys that are back in WWE that are making a quarter of that were your top guys? You know, you've got that relationship to manage as well. So, and you got guys in WWE that are on the inside looking out, going, you know, how long until my contract's up? How long until my non-compete?
Cody's his own brand now.
Exactly.
And how he has started something that I think for the industry, it needs this.
Absolutely.
You could argue Cody's brand is hotter, more important, bigger than probably Impact right now. I mean, Impact on Pop they're only getting about 300,000. You know.
Pop will still take that because wrestling's going to draw an audience anywhere you go, you know, and it takes time. And Impact's having to deal with the damage of the past. They're still dealing with the sins of TNA,
and they've got some good people now to try to get it back together. But I don't know if you know this. I'm going to ask a question. If you know it, great. If you know it and you don't want to talk about that, I understand that too. But like with the All In, will this event make money? You know, where I'm getting at is that Is that the focus of the event? Is it to go in there and try to have make a shitload of money off this event, or is it just, really to get it out and let's have this event?
I think it's going to make money. I think the original impetus was, we've got the money to burn. If it falls apart and we fall on our faces, fine. At least we say we tried. I think they really honestly wanted to see, is this something that could even be done?
Which
I think it's paid off gangbusters for them. I think they're going to come out okay. They're not going to be begging Vince for a job on Sunday morning.
No, I don't think so either. One name that was speculated that might be involved, but supposedly is not. I don't know if this is, with the industry, you don't know what to believe. You try to swerves and all that. But CM Punk, who is, he made a name for himself. He was, as they said, an internet darling out there, but talented.
Yeah.
Wrestling talented. He's the total
very smart.
package. Yeah,
very
smart too.
Very savvy.
Yeah,
very, very savvy. Yeah.
And I was when he bolted. I was totally supportive of that. He's one of my all-time favorite wrestlers.
And the pipe bomb was one of those moments when he sat down on the stage and said, "Do I have your attention?" That was a moment that made you believe.
Yes.
I still remember watching that and stopping what I was doing. It's like, he's talking for real, isn't he? It's it made you believe. It put you over that line, and it made you at least stop. It wouldn't be on TV if Vince wasn't allowing it. But he made you believe.
Correct me if I'm wrong. There was still like a line that once he
was blending reality with the storyline. Yeah.
Hello, Coco Man. He threw that.
Exactly.
I love that. Will, is it which I know they're saying he's not going to attend. Would you be surprised if he shows up?
I'll be surprised.
You will be surprised.
And largely, I'm not letting myself get surprised. There's a lot going on. Supposedly, he's suing Colt over the money for the lawsuit. But at the same time, it's like, if he and Colt are on the outs, Colt's one of the owners of Pro Wrestling Tees. He's still doing a signing at Pro Wrestling Tees on Friday. So I don't, wrestling's a funny business, though. It is. You're shaking hands with one guy with one hand and you're stabbing him in the back.
It's a never say never business.
Absolutely, it's a never say never business. I think it's a shame. Cassius Ohno and Chris Hero is now with NXT, and to me, the greatest WrestleMania match ever would be to watch him and CM Punk, relive some of their glory with IWA Mid-South. And I'll tell you what, if anybody watching this wants to see some really good indie wrestling, just Google CM Punk, Chris Hero, IWA. They did a 46-minute tables and ladders match, and they did a 93-minute Iron Man match. They're both just outstanding. But I find it hard to believe he'll never ever wrestle again. But only Punk knows.
Yeah, I'm a Punk guy, but as a Punk fan, the MMA I think has run its course. And that's props to him for
he made some good money on it. He gave
absolutely
it a shot,
gave it a shot.
Just like the Bucks and Cody gave it a shot with All In. It's paid off for them.
It's paid off.
You never know until you take the chance. So
Punk's still has some life. Left wrestling life, I think so.
His wife's book is outstanding too. AJ Lee's book is.
I've heard.
Great.
I've heard.
Yeah,
and
very good read.
Yeah. So, wow. You touched on we were talking. With Paul Levesque, Triple H, and his old school mentality. As much as Vince has meant to what he's done for professional wrestling, I am looking forward to him moving out of it and getting
you need some fresh eyes. You need somebody who's not going to want to reinvent everybody, and who's not, because the day Adam Cole walks into Raw or SmackDown, he's going to go, what's this little guy doing here?
Exactly.
And again, what Adam Cole and Ricochet did the other night, they're not big men, which is what Vince wants, but they put on one of the best matches I've seen in ages. It was just outstanding. So, and Adam Cole, arguably, he's in the top 5 if he's not the best in the world right now. But he's not a big guy, know. And Vince would take a look at him. If he didn't know who he was, he'd say, just throw him on 205 live with the other cruiserweights, and nobody will ever,
and get lost.
We'll let his contract,
right.
run out. But
and I hate that. And
and I've seen that with a lot of guys getting pulled up from NXT. They've got great things going. And Neville's a perfect example of that. And that's so many people are saying.
He's out of contract now. He's not.
And then people are saying he might show up at All In. So I mean, that would be a fun one.
That's a very talented guy.
I think it was Zack Sabre Jr. and that was Will Ospreay the other day who tweeted out and said once, I want you bring me Pac. I want him. So
I like it.
That's his indie name is Pac. But there are so many guys that they do great on NXT, and Tyler Breeze was another one. Tyler Breeze had a great gimmick. It was another new reinvention of the Gorgeous George gimmick with the arrogance and everything. And the guy can work his butt off. I mean, he's a Lance Storm student. Right. He's a phenomenal wrestler. And they just just stick him with that other guy who can dance, and they got. But the thing is, they got the whole fashion police. They got it over with the fans. But and Damian Sandow was another great example of that too. He was talented enough to be that, but it almost feels to me sometimes if somebody gets themselves over, it wasn't supposed to. Just like what they did with Fandango the week after he was the hottest thing at WrestleMania, they sent him out there and just made a monkey out of him. And they killed him.
Did he on his WrestleMania? Did he beat Jericho? Was that who did he beat? It was
Jericho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that's what Jericho knows his role. He puts over the younger guys.
He's a businessman.
Yeah. It's what you do when you're in your older years is you put over the younger guys so the next generation. Yeah.
Unless you're Hogan, who. And those guys that, anyway. Eat, Sleep, Wrestle. John, we've gone almost 40 minutes, and I think we could do 40 plus 40 plus 40. I would say I am. We got to do it because I would love, and we'll get this planned, but I would love to have you back to recap All In. And there's lots of other stories we could talk about.
Absolutely.
Share social media. Where can everybody connect with you? And
my website's eatsleepwrestle.com. I've got I think 9 books out in print now, right? And 10th and 11th already on the way. The big releases this year were Dr. D. David Schultz and Madman Pondo. One of the greatest deathmatch, and both of those guys, phenomenal storytellers. Just a lot of fun to work with both of them. 2 completely different wrestlers, 2 completely different audiences, but great stuff. But eatsleepwrestle.com is my website. I'm on Facebook as John Cosper and also as Eat Sleep Wrestle. John Cosper Author is the place where you can find my fiction stuff and also my film. And then on Twitter, I'm at John Cosper.
Very good. John, thanks so much for hanging out with me.
Thank you very much.
We'll do it again, man.
Please,
thanks.
Anytime.
All right.
Let's get busy.
All right, guys, Kevin Hale here on this Tuesday night, August 28th, 2018, at Baxter's 942 for our on-site recording. It's Shooting from the Lip, episode 349. Next up, we've got the guys from RiverShine. 2 of the guys from
Yes,
RiverShine.
sir.
David
What's
and
up?
Bill.
Fired up, ready to be here.
David, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you do a phone show with me?
Yes, I did.
All right.
It was a call-in.
How long ago was that?
It was
Yeah.
it's last year sometime.
Last year.
Yeah.
That's when this project actually kind of started.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've got a little bit of history in there.
Yes, sir.
Was at that time was Bill part of it?
No, he wasn't the singer at the
So
time.
is he the new guy?
He's
Yeah.
the new guy.
New guy.
April this year.
He's the new guy.
Good
Laying it
looking guy,
down, too.
yeah.
Laying it down, yeah.
Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Glad to have you on. RiverShine. All right, I guess that's a good little segue because you were on last year. RiverShine was just kind of doing its thing then,
Right.
Yeah. And
Right.
all right, gotta pick. Let's go back in time. Well, let's start with you, Dave. First, give us a little bit of background. What's your story?
My story is man, I've played around town here for a little bit in different bands, and rock too. Basically, the country thing is just guess where the roots are at, and
So much fun.
and the money.
And the month.
Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
But
He's open for some huge
but
people.
from my standpoint, last year one of my good friends, Mark Slaughter, 80s guy, Mark Slaughter.
From the band.
Yes, from the band, Slaughter.
Wow.
And
Lee Slaughter.
we've been friends. We done a record in 08. It just didn't work out. Things didn't work out as far as band-wise does, but me and Mark stayed in touch, And last year he actually came out with another record, solo record of his own. Mm-hmm. And he calls me up and he says, Dave, man, let's get this country record in. Why my media's up. I can help you. You can help me. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not the best songwriter on the planet, but Mark can get songs,
Right.
and I mean he can walk in and get the good stuff. So, we pitched around a bunch of stuff and got lucky enough from a publishing company to get some good stuff from Nashville, and I recorded it with a different singer at the time, and
Trying to get things off the ground. Yeah.
was good stuff. The singer just he had different directions. We just different directions, and man, I found Bill here in an alleyway, and
Pick me up off the ground and
Craigslist is even better.
well, let's not go that far.
Facebook is
No,
awesome. We'll just say
Leave it
Facebook is great. Yeah.
But anyway, yes, that's
been
kind
doing
of
it,
that's
yeah.
kind of my backstory there. I had the project all together, ready to go. Bill stepped in, done all the vocals. We got it together, and man, what a find, man! We ended up just clicking right off the bat,
Instantly.
and
And the bass player and the drummer.
everything has
great
just come
backgrounds.
together, unbelievable.
Well, Bill, jump in.
Have you heard the single yet?
No,
Checked it out?
I have not.
Oh
I have
my
not.
gosh.
And I'm going to before because what I want to do, and I'll go on and just ask for permission.
Sure.
I want to add the single to the end of this segment.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
let's
then
do it.
incorporate
Absolutely.
it. So and
Yes,
we'll
sir.
talk about the single.
rock
But give us what's your story, Bill?
Well, they found me in a gutter, and I was looking for a band, and I had sang with a couple different groups, and trying to really put something together as of like earlier this year. I mean, I've been recording stuff for a long time.
Okay.
And I've been with several bands, way back in high school and all the way to now. And I was really looking for some pro level guys to really make something happen, a big splash. And I found a couple of guys I was jamming with and trying to put something pretty serious together. We started playing out a little bit, but it just wasn't the right fit. So Dave reached out to me about the country deal, and it was just meant to be.
In country, your
It's
thing.
meant to be.
Yeah. All right.
Well, but don't think when you come to our country show that it's going to be
Right.
tear in my beer.
Yeah, I mean it's a rock show, but we play country.
Yeah.
I mean we rock out some country basically. I wouldn't call it country rock,
it's
but
fun.
it's a,
I mean,
it's a
because
different
the
flavor,
music industry actually allows us to do that today.
Right.
Yeah,
It's so intertwined today. The lines are blurred between the country and the old rock and stuff.
Gary Allen and
Blues.
gosh, the Jason Aldean stuff.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
all kinds of
Absolutely.
Are you a fan of this kind of new wave of country?
We like
That's
both.
Are you calling?
Yeah.
Are you saying
I'm
hip
talking about
country,
I'm
hip
talking
hop
about
country?
the Luke
kind of thing?
Bryan's, Jason Aldean's, those type.
I'm going to say this. If everybody really took the time to dig into these guys' records instead of what radio's playing,
That's a good point.
That's
you know what I'm
That's
saying? I will say this. We all are on radio's mercy. We are.
Right.
We are too. We're dropping September
labels,
10th. Our single drops to radio. It's our bread and butter. But if everybody really, like our EP's 5 songs deep, and if you really dig into our EP, there's some songs on there that I think that you would go, wow, that's country.
Good.
And
we like all the
again,
roots,
for
man.
me, that like when you say something like that, Thomas Rhett. Thomas Rhett is really blurring the line of pop and country right now. And a lot of people don't like it. A lot
Florida
of people
Georgia
do.
Line. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff out
Yeah.
there.
But if you dug into Jason Aldean's new record, there's some country on that record, man.
That's a good point. And because what the radio plays is it's almost
It's
more
like
of
a singles world today.
Exactly. So
Yep.
I'm looking at some of the info with the band.
Sure.
besides you guys, tell us who else is in the band.
So Kyle Bradding is the drummer, and which is funny because he's 21 years old, and he knows every old country song you can think of and every word, which I think is amazing. You know, his
And the kid has played
he's fantastic.
in some religious groups around the country.
Yeah, he's about to get
he is
signed.
open for some of the biggest, like Mercy Me and a couple other
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah.
I'm not saying that is exactly. I'm saying that genre of kind of thing,
Yeah.
and you know, we
They're
asked
getting
him to step into this, and you know,
They're in the middle of getting a deal out of Atlanta, I believe, and
Yes.
then that fell apart. Same kind of thing. The singer tried to do his own thing, you know, and just didn't work out with that group. So we snatched him up.
So that's Kyle, and then you got your bassist, Adam.
Adam. Me and Adam played together here about a year ago. Adam was actually playing bass for me about a year ago.
And he's a fantastic guitar player. I mean,
just-
musician. He can play almost
Musician in general. And when, you know, not really necessarily the second time around, but when Adam was always in the picture, and I said, man, this time around, you know what I mean? We're going to actually push the single up. You want to be involved? And he said, yeah. So he come on board, you know?
Good deal. Dave, let's go back to you. Influences is a guitarist.
Dude,
Who's tell us?
good. That's a long list.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, narrow it down from you know,
Shreds.
yeah.
I mean, these leads and just
you know, I just as I'm really going to show my age here by saying this. I'm just going to tell you. I
Bring
mean,
it.
I'm from the Toy Tiger. I mean, I was
Yay.
17
When he's
You know what I
17,
mean?
yeah.
I was 17 and 18-year-olds, hint, you know, and I was doing the Tiger. You know what I'm saying? I was a show or two. Of course, I was just in a damn dough rock band that didn't do a whole lot of crap. But hey, we were playing the Tiger,
Tiger and
you know.
having a
But
blast,
anyway,
sure.
long story short, man, you know, I could go down the whole list. Hendrix, George Lynch.
I've heard
you know,
him play licks
you
from
know.
the 70s and 80s and 90s.
So
and
it's just
now
one of
and
those things where you just
anything.
it's instilled in you. You know, I can.
We play an acoustic show and he's breaking strings. I mean, he's killing. I'm serious.
Well,
He's in a good-
He's
well, it's
killing.
just-
He's a killer guitar.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'll say my biggest influence probably on me 80s wise is I love that George Lynch off, you know, 80s thing that he always had.
Right.
That's probably influenced me the most.
Yeah.
And my biggest fan right now is probably Mark Slaughter. What people don't really realize about Mark is him and Dana produced everything they ever did, wrote everything they ever did. So everything you heard out of the studio,
them.
Mark and Dana
Yeah, it was
played
them.
it.
Yeah.
Mark is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Now, Bill, I'm looking at your bio, if you will.
Sure.
You in a Christian rock band? Is that true?
No, that was probably
No?
Kyle or
Oh,
Adam.
I'm looking.
yeah.
That's probably Kyle.
I'm looking here.
I have
Let's see.
more,
They're just. It's encompassing. All right.
I've got more rock and country background, just
Okay.
in general. I like the Christian music scene.
High school choir.
Yeah, I was an all-state
All-state
singer, way
singer.
back in the day.
Yeah.
Musician in many different ways. Got a studio in my basement where I've got a drum set and bass and
Louisville Machine and My Pet Octopus.
yeah. So they're playing Saturday night. TK's.
Is that Chris Kerr?
Yeah, Chris Kerr just joined their
I love
band.
Chris.
is the man. I
Yeah.
grew up playing guitar. So my first band ever was with Chris Kerr's little brother,
Oh yeah.
Chase,
Oh,
and
okay.
Sean Scruggs, who's now the guy at Nudies down in Nashville, who plays bass for Jared Neiman.
Yeah.
So my first band ever was with those two guys back in 7th grade, you know, when we were kids. So I just want to sing my face off, and that was kind of the thing. And doing it in country, you know, I can get up there and put on, you know, the right kind of vibe.
The Louisville music scene, this area.
We're working on it.
I mean, no, there's some talented
Yeah.
cats in this town.
There
man.
are.
There really are.
Yeah, and and be honest with you, it's kind of always been that way,
Right,
You know,
yeah.
but a lot of people just don't discount it. You know what I mean? I hate the fact that the original scene in this town ain't give more. I'm going to say balls. You know, I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
I mean, people should get out and support that stuff because that kid that sits in a corner that's phenomenal. You know what I mean? That writes great songs.
Right.
Yeah.
He has no outlet.
Singing his heart out, you know, the
I'm
place
with
isn't
you.
packed.
You know?
That's my my pledge with
Yeah.
this show is to try to promote and give work with people to
Absolutely.
venues for.
I want to give a shout out.
Appreciate it.
because we just actually sat out there for a half an hour with Frankie Moody.
Yeah.
That kid's a talent.
He is,
If you
yeah.
ain't heard that kid play acoustic live,
yeah.
you're missing out.
Yeah.
You really are.
He plays Gertzels
And,
all the time. I've heard him there. He's great.
You know, and to me, I mean, it's just like Jake Badger and all them guys from Wildwood and all that stuff. You know what I mean? And I support it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everybody
Same
should
here.
reach out to everybody to help, you know, because that's what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, I love my music friends who do covers and all that stuff, but I want to walk into a venue and just feel it.
Yeah.
Not know a song, but feel it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not happening here.
So Friday night at Diamonds.
Yeah.
We're playing at least 4 of our
I was
originals.
gonna say, you are incorporating some
Yes,
original.
we're
Yeah.
part of that crowd. Yes, we
Yeah.
play covers.
And
yes, you can
that's
sing
kind of the
along.
No, it's-
that's kind of the sad part about it. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I understand that people want to come to a club and they want to hear what they want to hear because that's what they hear on the radio all day long. But yeah, exactly. So, you know, it's a hard sell.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. So
We've got 35,000 views of our latest single thing on
22
Facebook.
days.
So we're really
35,000
hoping that
views.
do you have it is it on just Facebook or do you have
No,
do you
it's
have
everywhere.
You have a
You
YouTube?
can get it everywhere.
So whatever your favorite flavor is, Amazon, iTunes, Spotify, we're on all of them.
Okay. You
Yeah.
are on a. Okay.
Yep.
Good.
So the
It's out
Lover,
there.
if you type in
Is
the
it on
Lover,
Apple Music?
Yep.
Yes.
Is it? Okay.
if you
Well,
type
fine.
in the Lover or RiverShine, it's there.
All right. Well, tell us about what's the concept of start with the Lover and then just tell us the concept or the idea of this EP,
Sure.
the first ride.
Well, the Lover is basically about a girl, that was dumped and
hello.
yeah, nobody's been there, right? So she's looking for, really nobody. This guy's coming to her and saying, hey, I can be the guy that can get you out of this hole you're in. The video we're going to shoot's all about, pulling her out with the pizza boxes and, she hasn't been out in a while. And, he's bringing her back out in the world and changing her whole tune, So that's kind of the gist of the song.
Yeah.
I can make it feel like a roller coaster ride and, I can, totally get
Basically,
you.
she's down in the dumps and he's going to come
He can fix it.
fix it.
Right.
I like that.
Yep.
And then the actual release of that is September 10th.
Yes.
That's right.
And
To
then-
radio.
To radio.
Woo-hoo!
That's right.
I like that.
Actually, I have to give a call out to it. We've actually got hooked up here a month or so ago. Eric Mellencamp, which is John Mellencamp's son, or I mean nephew, sorry,
Yeah.
is doing all
Tone
of our
Records.
radio promo for us.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's just say 5 number 1 Tim McGraw's. Yeah. Dude.
Throw that out there.
So he's out there talking to
I could go
stations
on and on, but I ain't gonna. I'm
Yeah,
just
you-
gonna say that I think we got some firepower on our side, and
Well, in this
And that's what it
industry,
takes.
it is who you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
You need the help.
Yeah,
That's
you
the
do.
truth.
You do need the help.
Yeah.
But you got to have the good quality product.
But yeah, you have.
So-
you got to have a great song.
Everybody that's heard it so far has been like,
Wow.
where did you,
Yeah, I can't wait.
where did this come from?
And then there again, it's key writers.
Mm-hmm.
There are some seriously great writers. We write, and we were just told this a week ago by somebody. We write,
Mm-hmm.
but when you get into the room with people that write number ones, it's like getting into a room that people that know flowers.
Right.
I don't know
It's-
flowers.
right.
I know
It's like
what
a
flowers
botanist.
are, but I don't know all
there you
about
go. Yeah.
flowers.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
They're expert.
It's an eye-opening experience to, when you get into a room with somebody that actually writes number one songs.
I'm curious. From an ego perspective, how much of it does it take for you to let, if you will, someone else into, because they're not coming into, they're not
Right.
a band, but you're letting them into your
Sure.
your
I've got a unique perspective on it. To me, I just want to make great music.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's the
bottom-
key.
We've got
that's the key.
jobs, so we don't have to make.
If,
this
if
song
some
doesn't
guy
have to
walks
be
up
the
to
only
me
thing
on
we
the
got.
street and hands me a song that he wrote on a napkin,
Yeah.
I'm going to read
Let's
it.
make that
Right.
dude famous if it's
Yeah.
You know what I
great.
mean? I'm just saying. Because you.
because you're still going to give it your
Oh, my
touch,
gosh.
Oh,
your-
absolutely.
your flavor.
We
Yes.
heard a song, and I
Yes.
totally changed the composition of the song. It's not
Yeah.
even close to what it
Mm-hmm.
was. And when you hear it, if you heard what we were pitched,
Well,
it's different.
Everybody's different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
In the whole Nashville scene too, it's that. I mean, that's that's what they do down there. I mean,
Yes.
as far as and
Pretty standard, yeah. It works.
all good. Yeah, it works. Yeah, I guess there's a track record, proven
Right.
track record. So
Yeah.
And that's
Hey, it's like anything else. If that guy's an expert at what he does in songwriting, and this guy's an expert at singing or playing or whatever,
That's
how you
what
get
they
such
do.
Good content.
Yeah.
and
But yeah, we want to write our own stuff too. You make a whole lot more money that way.
Yeah, you do make one, yeah.
but at this point right now, we figured we'll let
Yeah, right. You build your
we'll build a fan base up as much as we can, and then
Absolutely.
we'll
At the same time.
we'll see what kind of writing we can put out soon.
So
We did write the title track, which is the first ride.
the first ride,
Right.
and that's due out. I think you said in October
12th. Yes.
of this year. So, and that's a 5-track
Yes.
EP.
Yeah, we've got
EP,
two.
and that's the other thing too. Nobody puts out huge records anymore.
No,
They're all
because they're
singles.
trying to get their stuff out.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
want to, and I mean, I guess is the concept now because of the whole digital thing, and
It all digital.
it's all digital.
But I do know a few people that still like to have their CDs.
Yeah,
Well, the radio guys.
You know?
right. Yeah.
And we're going to send some out to some radio people. We had to have some. We did have some made. We're going to have them made for radio. But other than that,
Yeah.
I mean, you push a button, man. You got the song.
I mean, you still have artists who will, every 2 to 3 years will throw out that full length LP, whatever.
Yeah.
But with today's technology, the scene of the music scene today, I mean, I would think it kind of makes sense for you to get stuff out as soon as possible, whether
Exactly.
it's
Yep.
a single or an EP.
I
whatever.
think we've got things timed out now where our singles like the 10th,
Yeah.
and EP's the 12th, and then
Right.
the next single's like another month after that. That's how fast they're doing
Yeah.
this.
So
Okay.
September
You
10th
know?
is the main launch, and then
Right.
we've got 2 fully mastered. The other 2 are finished but not
Right.
fully mastered. And then our other song, we've written and recorded a couple of different versions of it. But it's just it's a process.
How much time are y'all spending, like in Nashville right now?
Last
Well-
weekend, or so we just played. This
we
past
just played
weekend.
Piranha
We got
Sunday.
stuck in the
Yeah.
parking garage,
Yeah.
for hours. God knows how
Nobody,
long.
well, none of us
Taylor Swift was
really paid
playing,
attention
and
to
Really?
Oh my gosh!
what was
it really?
going on in Nashville.
The strip was
I
packed.
can imagine.
It was packed.
It is such a great scene, though.
Everybody
It
was
is.
going there.
You're right.
Tourism was
But we
crazy.
shall never go there again
Yeah,
with
probably,
unless
yeah.
we're opening for Taylor Swift.
Well,
we'll
yeah.
never be
Well, it
on
was cool,
Broadway
too,
again
though,
when she's
'cause
playing.
we
there.
were playing our show, and there were people from Alabama who were like, "Who are you guys?" And this guy's from Seattle comes up and talks to us, after one of the sets.
and that's so cool.
Who are you guys? We're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh!
You're
Yeah.
you're making me remember something I've been wanting to ask people, and it's just come to mind. I know, what was it, like one of those country events that was going on in Nashville, and I'd heard this thing was huge where bands could play, but they were paying to play.
To play, yeah.
And that concept had not ever registered me, but I.
You want me to fill in the blanks for
Well,
you?
I want to know. I want to
Yeah.
know your thoughts on that. Is
Well, I
that
can actually tell you why it happened and how it happened.
right, go for it.
Because it was actually CMA Fest.
CMA? That's it. Yeah.
Okay,
CMA is the big-
and it was Titan Stadium. And
was,
if you're
right, the
if
stadium,
you are
yeah.
if you are an up and coming artist, there were certain venues that was saying that if you wanted to be noticed,
Right.
you can play this. You can spend this amount of money, and we'll put you on stage at this point in time,
Right, yeah.
which is bull.
You can say it on the
Shit.
show. Yeah.
Okay, because first of all, if you are a great artist and you believe in your music and what you're doing, hey man, don't pay to
Grassroots.
play nowhere.
I just.
I mean, don't
it's,
get, and I get Nashville. I get it. You're working for tips. I get it. You're gonna work your ass off.
Right.
But on the other hand, don't sell yourself out either, man. And that's really what that was about. There are certain venues that know that place is wall to wall that week, all week.
and they were making bank.
Oh, yeah.
And the notion
They already made bank.
Yeah, and I could not. I'm
It's
thinking,
crazy.
how dare a venue charge?
Sure.
You know.
And that's like a lot of artists per se, playing Broadway. Well, don't get me wrong, it's cool.
Right.
It is cool, but I think opening for Tim Graw would be a lot cooler.
Oh, absolutely.
That's our
You know
goal,
what I'm
right?
trying to say?
We wanna be
I mean,
opening for
If you
people.
ask me, I mean, we're playing Broadway because, I mean, we are in town.
Right.
We're doing business, and if there's a gig or two or whatever, we do it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't get the official stats after the fact, but there was probably a lot of bands or music
there was
acts
some that did it.
That
yeah.
actually did it. And I guess I'm curious to know.
Well, let's just say there were some people that were. I'm not going to say they're signed.
Yeah, was the return
Yes.
worth it?
I don't know.
Okay,
knows?
that's what I'm curious.
Right.
Nashville's a whole nother animal now
Yeah.
because you go down there on a Tuesday. Like we went down
And
there
it's
for a
packed.
meeting.
It's still.
It's a
We were
tourist
there at 11
destination now.
o'clock on a Tuesday, and the bands were wheeling all their stuff, and they were starting at 11 o'clock.
All
and
right.
the
And that's-
places were all full by noon or halfway full, and it's just up and
11
down.
a.m.
11
Yeah.
a.m. on a Tuesday.
Yep.
Every single place on the strip had somebody playing.
Now,
already.
back in the day,
all day long. I mean, all day long.
Well, good for them. I mean, you got opportunity. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
I don't think it pays
Yes.
a whole lot.
Well, yeah, I guess I was.
Well,
that's the
it's-
other thing, but
but
yeah.
it's still
least
the
they're getting
point
out there.
of, you know, it still should be about the music, either way,
Yeah.
because that's what the history of that is. You know, to me.
right.
Yeah. Good question.
Yeah, no, that's I'm
Yeah.
still dumbfounded over that, and I can't. I guess
It's kinda
down
crazy,
there,
ain't it? I mean, it's-
but I guess you're the
As a new
CMA,
artist,
the
and you
CMA,
had that money in your back
it all
pocket.
tied in. I guess there's. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're a new, I guess.
Yep.
I mean, but I don't know. Let's talk local. I mean, what's your take on the music scene here? I mean, is it?
You know, if
a lot of cover
if
bands.
you really look around at the clubs in this town,
Yeah.
you know, there's some good people doing some good things. You know, like Nick, letting you come in here and letting us sit here and do
pretty cool.
this. You know,
I love it.
I mean, man, I want to show my age a little bit again. Well, not my
we're
age.
probably the same age.
But anyway, we won't talk about it. But I played in another band that actually probably one of Nick's very first bands
Really?
that opened here.
Cool.
You know what I mean? So when he first opened, so
So far,
and that
I've
was
seen-
pretty
you know,
cool. You know,
I've seen a lot of cover bands. You know, a lot of the bigger shows of the 4th Streets are, you know, they're coming through different things, and that's where we want to play. You know, we want to open for the bigger places that are coming through town and show them what we've got. We've got great product, so
I'm hearing.
we'll put Louisville on the map for
And
some country.
yeah,
You know,
I can't wait to get out there Friday night. Yeah.
damn it,
Friday.
What's short-term goals besides, conquering the world? I mean, what's your next steps?
just-
Open for Jason Aldean, open for Luke Combs, open
hope.
for, yeah. I mean,
Well-
whoever's coming through town.
I guess
Open for somebody
short
at the Young
term right
Center.
now, man.
Does
we
that
just-
still happen? You bring up a good point. When big,
Who's booking people? Yeah.
they bring in local bands. Is that still a
Sometimes.
thing?
Oh, yeah, some do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then obviously there's probably some bands that have.
Sure.
Some of them have their favorites,
Yeah,
and some
that
of
they're
them
on
are
tour
looking
with
for
it.
talent.
Yeah.
You know, and
So-
it just depends.
All right. So I mean, to me, that's if you do the local thing, that's kind of giving back to the.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So besides opening up, I mean, we got.
We're just going to play.
Yeah, we're gonna get out
I
there.
mean,
and
I think at this point
rock.
right now, everything is that we can do. We have everybody. I think we have.
Yeah.
I can't complain about the team we have
No.
pushing this single.
we're pretty
You know,
excited.
we have the best PR right now. Bev is just on another level.
Bev.
Yes.
Well, shout out to Bev. Bev and I've been. We haven't
Bev Moser.
we've been kind of on a first name basis through.
Yes.
If you're looking
emails,
for PR, somebody out of
I
Nashville to help
appreciate
you,
it.
she's awesome.
She's something else, man.
Keeping me in check.
God love her.
Yesterday I had put the Facebook post out there,
Right.
And I admit it's a standard verbiage, and I copied it from last week, but I did it like this Tonight Show. I
Did
put
she
it
get
out
ya?
there. Yeah, she caught something to her credit, and I was like, thank you, because I used like last week I did it the day of, so I used the word tonight was in the verbiage, but I posted it yesterday, so
yeah.
it said tonight, which would have meant Monday night.
Right.
So she's like, you didn't mean Monday night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, she knows we got a lot of people watching.
So,
So.
Bev,
Done it.
much love.
Hey, and you know what? I mean, we're lucky. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, this
She's great.
if her background speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm proud to be her artist for real. It's just something else.
Just quickly back to the Louisville scene and all that. You know, we really want to connect with the audience. You know, we feel like when we're playing for Louisville or whoever's coming to our shows, we're in it together. You know, we're trying to put something great together. That
We want that song that you can turn on your way home.
yeah, it goes out to
Been
the
there.
world. You know,
I've done that.
People are like, "Where are they from?" Oh, they're from the Louisville area, but they play in Nashville, but they're country, but they rock too. You know, and that's kind of we want to be in it with the audience. You know, whoever's there with us, we're talking to them after the show. You know, we want to be engaging. You know.
Is there a song from your all's catalog that you can recommend that I play at night, probably about an hour before I have pillow talk with this person? The background,
Probably our second single.
Yeah.
It's called
keep
Like.
that in mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's called Like That.
Like that.
Yeah.
Oh, like that. That has several connotations.
Well, I don't know if the meaning's going there.
No.
But it is a good meaning.
I like it. Yeah, it is a good meaning.
I mean, but
That's
You
on
know.
the EP. It's an amazing song.
it is.
I'm
It
excited
really
for
is.
you guys.
I got goosebumps when the song came back. So did the bass player. It was
It's
It
our
was-
second single's going to be pretty good, but we can't let that out of the bag yet.
no.
Let's let The Lover do its thing.
Yeah.
Because we feel that's a great song, too.
I want to give a little props here. Mastered the person who mastered it. has-
Michael?
Sal.
No, Sal.
Oh, Sal.
Yeah.
Yes.
His background.
Dude.
Yeah, he's
oh, yeah.
he's only worked with Chesney, Coldplay, Pink. You know,
Only, yeah.
pretty
I
much
mean,
everybody. I mean,
Well, like we said, when
Now they're showing off.
Urban.
They're showing off now.
he's awesome.
Yeah.
to be, like I said, if you're going to dive into this, you know what I mean? And you're going to do it right.
You want the
I
right
mean,
people.
seriously, we want the right people.
Right.
And, man, we're lucky enough to have people like that help us. I mean, if it helps
They're
or not,
excited.
It is
about it,
a.
It's a
who
quality
I
pro-
mean, it really is.
it's a quality product.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
We
It
don't wanna
really
put
is.
out
We-
something
and
that's
we
just,
just hope people like it, download it,
Right.
you know, put it on their playlist, man. That's the best thing we can ask.
And you're still doing it for chicks, right?
Not me. But they're more than welcome.
But they're more. Hey, they're still part of
Hey,
it.
That's
you
right.
can watch them.
Yeah, you can watch.
That's right.
Good stuff. Social media, share with the people where can everyone connect with you
Oh,
guys.
wow.
Yeah, Facebook is probably the most active page.
But we're everywhere.
You are everywhere.
Instagram
Obviously.
and
Twitter.
yeah, our
Yes.
Instagram isn't as old as the Facebook, so we're still building that up. But we're still trying to put out content.
And the socials are probably where you got to be today.
No, you have
Obviously,
to.
it's
Well, we're
with
connecting-
digital,
we're
it's with
connecting with
everything
our
else.
people, you know.
That's what
And
we're
it-
reaching
it's,
out to.
You know, those mediums are free.
Yeah.
You know, so
Right.
no problem
Right.
there. But you all have your website too.
yeah.
Yes.
RiverShineMusic.com.
Yeah, we got almost
Yes.
3,000 likes on there, going up, I don't know, however many a week. It's
Right.
been crazy lately. When
We're growing. I mean, we're doing like everybody else is. You know, I mean, we threw it out as much as we could, the pre-sale.
Right.
And hey, to have 40,000 views already in 22 days,
It's pretty
I'm-
wild.
I'm not complaining a whole lot.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm a pretty happy fella.
Good.
You know,
Yeah, so if you've seen that thing on your Facebook pops up and says RiverShine, which you may have,
just push it.
Yeah.
yeah, people are sharing it everywhere, and it's got 11-something thousand people have clicked on it and watched the whole video, and like 40,000 people have seen it.
Yeah.
You know,
Cool.
It's wild.
Very cool.
We don't know how many downloads yet, but we'll find out.
Well, that's the program that we use to do
Well,
it.
they're all like that. It's
we,
a lab.
Yeah, we can't actually see what our downloads are for 30 days
Right, yeah.
until they actually score and see who's downloaded or whatever. So let's hope we get lucky and all of them have.
David, Bill, RiverShine, you got the gig this Friday at Diamond.
Levy
St.
tomorrow.
Matthews, and Levy tomorrow.
Yeah,
Levy tomorrow.
We'll be filming at both locations for B footage for our video that we're going to be working on.
Very cool.
Yeah, man.
So if you're there, you
Facebook's
may
the
be
place to
on
get us.
CMT or who knows where.
For sure.
Very cool. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Wish you all the
all good.
best. I want to stay in the loop with you guys and
Absolutely.
watch
Heck
this
yeah.
Journey with
Thanks, Kevin. We're all in this together,
yeah,
man. We're all in
exactly.
this together.
Yes.
the music scene. The music is my vice. That's my thing. So best of luck. Root for you
Absolutely.
guys. All right.
Thanks for having us on, man.
Thanks
So you
so much.
playing it in the song now, or are we gonna?
Well, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna add it to the end of the.
I got you.
Yeah.
I was ready to
so,
sing. It's all good.
Bev, thanks for keeping us straight. Too.
Yeah,
Peace
good
out.
stuff.
Yeah.
See y'all later.
Never see you out on the town these days. Me and all my friends kinda miss your face. I just called you up to see if you're okay. You say you've been hurt and you're feeling down. Lately I haven't felt like going out. Baby, take a chance, it'll be alright. You don't have to be alone tonight. I can make you feel like a roller coaster ride. Your heart in your throat and your hands up high. I can make you smile like your favorite song. And all you gotta do is sing along like, well, girl, you need a thrill, and I can make you feel like, well, I can be the lover to get the other off your mind. It's amazing how fast a memory fades. You'll forget about him and yesterday. Just spend a little time with someone new. And baby, what you got to lose? I can make you feel like a clear blue sky. You got your new wings and it's time to fly. I can make you laugh again until it hurts. First time feelings and fireworks alike. Well, girl, you need a thrill, and I can make you feel like, well, I can be the lover to get the other off your mind. All you gotta do is take a step my way with just a little leap of faith. I can make you feel like a roller coaster ride. Your heart in your throat and your hands up high. I can make you smile like your favorite song. And all you've gotta do is sing along like, well, girl, you need a thrill, and I can make you feel like, well, I can be the lover to get the other off your mind. Your heart in your throat and your hands up high. I can make you smile like your favorite song. All you gotta do is sing along like,
Let's get busy.
guys. Kevin Hale here, shooting from the lip, episode 349. On-site recording here at Baxter's 942, Tuesday, August 28, 2018. Last segment of the night. Trending news. And I know, Stu, you hate to talk Trump, but, you know, Trump still always finds his way on the show. And the last couple of shows, that this segment that you've done, that you kind of said you don't want to be political about, you were very political.
Well, last week we had Mr. X. So
He was a CIA guy.
yeah, he had the clearance.
Such a weird name,
Yeah.
Mr. X.
He was Muslim. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, yeah. So anyways,
Mr.
for starters,
X.
John McCain, props to him. And this is a guy that, hero, patriot, I mean, a genuinely good guy, even, you know, he's on the right side. But
There's nothing wrong with being on the right side.
No,
he was on the right side.
Yeah.
I thought the left was the right side.
Yeah, that too. But, I know. But Trump, during, you know, he still will not, you know, he's got this.
Well, the thing that I don't understand is in Arizona right now, they have people running for office on the right. They're literally talking like Trump and acting like Trump and wanting Trump support when John McCain was not pro-Trump.
No.
By any means. He was one of the few people that actually decided that he didn't want to have over 100,000 people or whatever the number was lose health care, well over 100,000, and go against Trump when it came down to getting rid of the American Health Care Act. It's stunning.
Yeah.
John McCain, when he was running against Obama, I really respected him when they had the group forum, and the woman said that Obama is an Arab. Yeah, and John McCain answered that genuinely.
Have you guys noticed that anytime on Facebook someone ever calls Obama a Muslim, they always spell Muslim wrong? I swear to God, they always spell it with an EM at the end. I'm like,
Are you serious?
oh yeah,
We had the little
Muslim.
I believe it. Doesn't sound far-fetched.
Your take, real quick, McCain. Legacy, anything?
I mean, I generally hate all politicians. I really mean that deeply. But, yeah, he seems like he's one of the least terrible ones.
Least
so,
terrible.
I love you, Kevin.
What about
Still, a little bit of a warmonger, you know? But
Trump?
better than most, I guess.
next topic? Trump slams Google search is rigged. Did you hear about that?
I have not read about it. I just saw the
You go.
highlight.
I know
Haven't seen
you.
it.
It was a
curious.
major story
Go ahead,
today.
yeah.
Apparently, he's saying that it's silencing people on the right.
When
And-
you Google Trump, it's not getting the results that he thinks it should be.
So apparently he doesn't know how Google works.
I think he doesn't know that the people that like him don't have internet access. That's a deep issue here.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you put certain questions into Google, they kind of get pushed to the front of the line. That's how Google works. It's not that Google goes in there and says, if you put in Trump, then we'll direct you to, you know. And the thing about it is Trump gives Google so much material that's bad that, you know, if you put in Trump, you're going to go to a story that's bad on Trump. That's kind of on Donald Trump. It's not on Google.
I mean, it's an algorithm thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if he could prove that it wasn't, then that'd be an issue. Like,
yeah.
if he, you know, if there was
He
some
really
evidence
could.
that Google was doing that, I'd be like, well, that's some bullshit.
Well, the response was that they use like, or they update their algorithms like every year, like to
Yeah.
make the search engine better.
But he's
You know?
ultimately like saying, like, oh, the crowd didn't think I was funny. Well, they must be assholes. It's like,
Exactly.
you can't do that. You know?
Exactly.
Sometimes they're right.
It's just funny to me. Like he keeps saying, you know, this is a witch hunt when it comes to the whole Russia thing, and like more and more ties keep coming to like from Russian oligarchs to people he's worked with, things of that nature. But this man just brings up like just conspiracy theories out of nowhere, and I guarantee you there are people like, you know, somewhere in Trump country they're nodding their head, man, I told you, even Google's against them. You know, Google's against them.
I told you.
I told you.
Because he told us.
It's that damn Hillary. Them emails had a virus in them. Now Google's infected.
Yeah, Google supporting Hillary, and
You know, I mean, it's just funny. You know, there's the deep state and there's Google, and okay, like when you type in Trump, if it takes you to Stormy Daniels, that's not on Google. It's not on Google.
So
Yeah.
she's a more fun Google than he is. You know what I'm saying?
I'd like to get a hold of those Googles. Yeah. Googly boogly.
Googly boogly. What about this? Go ahead, Ken.
I was just say I want a shirt now with Stewart's face. It just says googly boogly.
Googly. We got to do that. Hashtag googly boogly. Another shooting. This time, did you see the video? They're actually, it's a gaming thing.
Yeah, Madden tournament.
Madden tournament. Yeah. And what's weird is they show, like a Madden game being played, and then in the corner there is like, they show people playing it, and then all of a sudden you hear during this event, gunshots,
pop, pop.
And people are freaking out.
How many was it? 4 people?
Well, 4 killed, and then I don't know if it included the gunman.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I play video games. I've played video games like since Nintendo's culmination. I had friends that slammed controllers. I always found that odd. But when it comes to the point where you're so mad that you're not good at this video game or better than your friend, that you're resorting to guns and weapons.
Well, but that's not why, was it?
It is why. It said it was because I read something. I mean, that I read it, so it has to be true. But I read something that said that it was because of like. That he lost last year, that he had lost in it, and then he just got freaked out. That's what I read. I don't know if that's true or not.
Okay.
But I definitely haven't read anything saying there was a motive other than that, and that seemed like a decent motive for someone that wants to dedicate their time to that much Madden.
And that's just kind of sad. It's, I guess you, instead of going out and getting good at football or good at something, you're that determined to be good at video games.
You got to practice in your mom's basement. Yeah. That's terrible.
And if you can't win, can't join them, shoot them, or beat them, shoot them. I don't know. Yeah. That's where we're at.
It wouldn't have happened to the Mario Kart thing, is all I'm saying.
Probably not.
So it gets ran over a Mario Kart game.
Mario Kart.
Or it would be even worse if they threw a turtle shell at somebody. Where did you even get that empty turtle shell?
Like the alt-right Mario Kart version. It would be amazing.
Googly boogly. Kev, what was your take when you heard David Pecker, that's his name, CEO of National Enquirer, granted immunity in the Michael Cohen case? And then the doorman or whatever showed his document where he...
there was something about Trump having an illegitimate child.
Yeah.
Another, I guess, because I'm sure he has tons. But
go ahead. I don't know shit about it.
Well, I can tell you right now, he's probably got something really good to flip with. If he's getting immunity, that means he's got something juicy.
The guy who runs the Enquirer, the guy who had killed stories, he
has to have some good shit.
He would basically buy stories and get the rights to them. Whoever he bought the story from, they would have to sign like a non-disclosure agreement, and then he would never publish the story. So anytime someone had something juicy on Trump, he would just be like, "Hey, I'll buy that for a couple $100,000, $1 million," and then boom, you never hear about it. It's crazy. He's got to have something, man. And I think right now we might be seeing like the really panic of Trump, and that's what's going on. Because when you're calling out Google, you're grasping at straws, bro.
I have heard too. Trump takes Ambien, and Ambien is a game changer. I'm experienced it. In the middle of the night, if I'm still awake after I've taken an Ambien, game on.
I don't think that's as strong as an issue as the fact that he as a person is just a little off.
Yeah.
I think that's more the issue.
And plus Ambien, that's what Roseanne tried to say. Led to her bad tweet.
I'm only racist when I take Ambien personally.
Ambien is racist, but Ambien responded back right away.
Yeah.
We're not a racist pill. Our pills.
Yeah, our pills don't cause racism. They have a lot of side effects. Racism isn't one of them.
If you take an Ambien and you feel racist, what you have to do is take an Adderall, and then all of a sudden everybody's fine.
Everybody's fine. We all get along.
Balance it out.
Candy flipped the Adderall and Ambien.
Yeah. In Russia, Kevin, a 19-year-old film student, is facing 5 years in prison for memes mocking religion. Can you imagine?
That's just brutal. Terrible.
Speaking of religion, here's my announcement.
Oh, you got the two guys.
I've got the two. Well, I've got the two. Do you hear what's going on with that?
Asher's one of them, right?
Andrew Asher is...
He's a person.
Yeah, Andrew. Andrew, here's the topic is... Did God make man or man make God?
Oh, dear God.
Andrew thinks God made man.
Who? He's already on the other team.
Which side are you on?
3-1 now.
Yeah, 3-1. So Andrew, I was talking to Andrew, and I said I want to do a topic on the show, a dedicated segment, hour long.
Let's do it.
And he was like, Andrew was like, how about I want me. This is him talking. Andrew, and he's going to get a buddy.
Fine.
It's going to be God-made man.
Cool.
And we need 2 people to come up to represent man-made God.
Let's do it next week, Andrew. Let's do it next week.
So
Bring it.
Game on. We're going to
Me
get
and
this
Kev.
worked out. It's going to be an hour long. I have to come up with the baseline questions and the format that, but it's going to happen. Yeah.
Like, do you see our eyes lighting up?
I
like
know.
That would be
It's like-
so
like
enjoyable.
I just gave you the keys to.
As the rest of my life, I am overly confident.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I should be. Like I said, overly is the word I'm using here. I'm just saying, so when I hear it, I'm like, okay, I've got to prove absolutely nothing. That's my job, is to do nothing. I got to show up and prove nothing, and they have to prove,
Everything.
that every animal fits on boats.
Every.
2 of every animal.
Also,
Two
and
of
that's weird. That
And they got
And
along.
they don't eat each other.
I think Ken Ham believed that the sea creatures died because of the water, because everybody knows that whales can't survive with too much water around them. Anyway, thank you, Ken Ham.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch the Ken Ham Bill Nye debate?
No.
Oh, Bill Nye is, as much a scientist as Ken Ham is like a person. Yeah. They're both trying to be what they are, but it was still great. It was really interesting.
I saw when Bill Maher did his religious. He had Ken Ham on there.
Yeah. I watched something real briefly on the whole ocean thing. I watched something on the ocean today on like Discovery Channel or something like that. That in and of itself, like seeing what exists in the deep, is like so alien, so awesome. It's
nice little segue. This topic got my attention. They are still finding, in this case, a new Amazon tribe. Never before seen tribe.
Really?
Tribe. So with the drone.
Bezos got so much money, he's got tribes and shit.
Yeah.
He owns that whole place over there already.
He owns his own tribe. Is it? I don't know. In this day and age, is it still remarkable for a never before seen tribe to be identified?
It's pretty amazing. I bet the fucked up thing is like they know Christianity. There was like a Mormon just like
That's
waiting.
probably the first. Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that. I have a cousin that when I was younger I looked up to, and he was like a missionary and all that. But he's met at least 2 different groups of people and one of them had never seen a white man before in their life. So it's like, but of course that's always the people that are going out there, the people that are like,
Yeah.
we'll tell you.
For real? Never seen it. Are you serious?
Yeah.
There are people who have never seen
This
a white
guy was like a
person.
missionary in Sudan and like a lot of places that I would never go, obviously.
No, I guess that'd be possible.
Yeah, that tribe was probably found by like a Mormon drone. It was like dropping pamphlets, like sprinkling amongst the people.
It's.
That's crazy though.
I mean, I guess
There's got to be more out there. I mean, I actually read something, but it's been a long time. But it was like a statistic, the guess that people had of how many tribes were out there. But it was way more than you would think.
I mean, everything hasn't been discovered. Hell, 3/4 of the world is underwater.
Yeah, and then
I don't think anybody's down there, though, Stu.
Hey, Atlantis might exist, man. I'm telling you, sirens and all that whole deal.
And I heard like in Antarctica, like there's still like thousands, hundreds of thousands.
Is that what the ice? Is you talking about the ice wall?
Yeah.
Where the? Just kidding. Flat Earth joke there.
The dragons took that out a long time ago.
Here's one right up your alley, Kevin.
It's my website, actually, right up my alley.com.
Can you get addicted to pot?
I mean, I think that's a stupid question. Yes, you can get addicted to absolutely anything. I truly believe that.
Okay, I agree with that.
I mean, like TV is like one of the most addictive things in the world. Phones are the most addictive things in the world.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I mean, and neither one of those are like a substance that you can chemically, but you can literally watch someone's brain and see how they're addicted to it. So I think it's a silly question. You can be addicted to absolutely anything.
Well,
good answer.
I mean, I'm definitely
It is a
personally
good
addicted to
answer.
sugar, but I mean, the government still says I can have it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement because I can tell from personal experience when an event happened in my life that kind of kept me from smoking marijuana for quite some time. Like I never missed it, and now it's kind of I never go. Oh,
Was it when you were religious? Was it, or was it when that guy shot you?
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's one of those.
God.
I remember. I have to bring this up because
That guy tried to show you Jesus, didn't he?
since he brought it
I
up,
went to the other side. He ain't there, man.
when
There's nothing
you
there.
were on that first time and you were able to you shared
Yeah, it
that
was
story,
amazing.
I remember just point blank asking you how many of those went in the front of you.
Zero.
And you said zero. And
Zero.
I was like, good God.
I asked my girlfriend that one time.
And she said,
You were there, you know.
Oh God.
I still think Stewart's always been so rough on it. Like the cops were just religious, and they were trying to introduce him to Jesus personally, and then he was all rude about it.
I'm saying
he didn't play along.
Hey, those guys, they don't play around. They don't pamphlet it.
Exactly.
They try to directly meet you
just streamline us straight
with
to
their-
and
Jesus.
this was local,
with
right?
their racist Lord and Savior.
So there's a chance, there is a chance, I don't know how, it's probably a small chance, that those guys are seeing this, will see this podcast and go,
I recognize that guy.
Yeah, that's. Well, I mean, they saw me plenty of times.
wouldn't have shot you if you'd have
when
had
they were
that
trying
white
to
people
put me in
shirt
jail
on.
for shooting me. They saw me tons of times. But yeah, I would love to have a sit down with one of them just to
really?
kind of.
That would make for a good podcast. Wouldn't it?
Hell yeah.
Oh, just kind of ask some questions like what kind of human being are you?
I'm gonna roofie that guy though for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Here, when I saw this article, I'm gonna read the article and then I'm gonna.
The whole article?
Yeah, no, just the headline. Pink, the singer Pink, walks into crowd mid-concert to hug teen after reading sign saying her mom recently died, which sounds like a great gesture on Pink's part. But then I got to thinking, what kind of a person brings a sign that says my
Exactly.
mom died? I mean,
I'm glad I didn't wear that shirt tonight. You know? Yeah, that's obviously somebody begging for attention. That's not, whatever.
Yeah. But you know, Pink had to play along with it too.
I wouldn't have. I would not have placated that girl. Like, honestly, would have been like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that." You know, next song. Anna.
I mean, did your dad make you that poster? Like, what happened? I don't understand. It's so weird.
Yeah, was it bedazzled? Like, so it could get her attention. My mom died.
It had a picture of Pink on it.
What's this? How does this go over with DC when Lyft is offering discounted rides to voters during the midterm elections?
I think that's awesome.
Oh, I think it's great.
Yeah.
No.
But is that their way of saying to DC, we need to change, get out and vote?
Yeah.
So does Lyft become, when will Trump, start bashing?
But I mean, there's poor people on both sides that need a break. But so I don't know what'll. But I feel like more liberals like Lyft.
Yeah.
I feel like Republicans are still calling cabs and shit. You know what I mean? Still using MySpace.
Oh, we touched on that last week. That's hilarious.
Trump cancels Pompei's North Korea visit, citing lack of progress on the denuclearization. The same, treaty or meeting they had. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't hear about that. I didn't know they canceled that.
So basically, that is they're saying that North Korea is not doing their part to denuclearize, and
See, this goes into the whole Google thing and Trump's like little technique of put something into the news that kind of takes away from like real news. And basically, as we spoke on this podcast about, that whole denuclearization of North Korea was bullshit. Their testing ground was starting to crumble and it was becoming unusable. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I just felt it felt like just a distraction kind of thing, like the Google thing. It didn't feel like it was real at all.
Yeah, and it is factual. Like their testing ground is practically unusable.
Yeah.
We did not make them denuclearize. So this is probably like them trying to find another test ground, and Trump being like, "Hey, didn't we have that deal that made me look good and made you look good?" When it wasn't actually a deal.
all right.
I was gonna say, by the way, I gotta go play soon.
Yeah.
But we were talking on Facebook. We were talking about the vaccination thing. We should get somebody on there that.
Well, the story there, because the lady that was sparring.
Do you know that lady?
Claire does. Claire worked.
She
with
said she
her,
was she said she was trained as a doctor.
I want
which
Claire
is an odd phrase.
Yeah. Claire. It's
like I played doctor all the time when I was a kid and
her
shit.
son is autistic. Claire worked with her son, and what's funny is that Claire said like a week ago she asked Claire to start working with the son, but then after that Facebook, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Probably not.
But anyway,
That's funny. That made you talk in a British accent. I'd never heard that before.
It's just bad science, man. Come on.
All right, last one for you guys. Bewitched. Do you remember this? The Bewitched
Yeah. Twinkle,
sitcom?
twinkle, twinkle. Like little nose.
The
That was a nose
reboot.
noise.
There is a reboot, but it's going to be an interracial family.
So we got a black witch or we got a black husband for the white witch? Is it a black man marrying a white
Well,
witch?
I guess that's
Or is it a
what
black
I'm
witch?
asking you all.
Oh my
what
God,
what
that
will
is
make
hilarious.
what? It's gotta be
black
the
man
black
and a
witch.
white
It's
witch.
gotta be the black witch. It's gotta be a black witch.
She's going to be spunky and yeah.
The guy,
Okay.
Darren, the husband was the whitest human that ever lived. So it'd be pretty great if it was like Denzel now. He's like, stop that witch shit, bitch.
Or could it be Eddie Murphy's 57 is getting ready to have his 10th child? Sure about that?
Lord, no.
Oh, he ain't done. He's gonna Larry King that thing all the way to the end.
Ooh, good.
Remaking Bewitched. They've really ran out of ideas.
Semen that old should not be able to work. It really shouldn't.
Semen.
Oh, God.
Old
Old semen.
not
Eddie
sailors.
Murphy semen.
Yep, semen.
Anything, Kev, that's been in your world that you would like to just purge right now while you're in front of a mic?
If we could really purge, I mean, I'd probably murder a few people, but no, I really wouldn't. Although I was yesterday just having a conversation of like, so I'll just ask this. I'm curious, your guesses, because like sometimes I like to ask these questions where no one knows the answer, but just pretend that there's like this infinite, all-knowing thing that knows everything, and you could be like, hey, what is this? If there was a purge tomorrow, what percentage of people do you feel like would a purge, like the movie?
Right, the
what percentage of people do you think would participate?
Ooh.
In
Oh,
America?
wow.
We got, a third of a billion people. What?
I guarantee.
What percentage?
I guarantee a lot of Trump's
Oh,
base
God,
would.
all of them.
Yeah.
All of them. And I
And no offense, Stu.
It's not people-
I wouldn't be hanging around with you tomorrow.
Okay.
With
He's no
purge.
purger. He's no purger.
I'm not a purger, but I would
You're
be
not
about
gonna-
self-defense.
no.
What's
lot
the
of
number?
people-
What's the number?
They would.
I'm not talking about
Trump's
I'm
base
talking
would be
about-
looking at you. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I'm saying what percentage
Would
would actually proactively purge as opposed to shoot a
Proactively?
bunch of people trying to kill them? Because I mean,
Okay.
based on that number, almost everyone's going to be involved in
You
something.
mean
I'm talking about
like the movie?
people that would walk out in the streets planning to kill people. What's your percentage number? This fake guess, no one can know.
Yeah.
But what's your throw out there?
You say 20?
You say 20. I'll definitely take the under.
No, I'm gonna say about 10%, maybe.
Really?
5, yeah, I do.
Man, I must be a true cynic, man.
do you think
I
half
must
the
be a
people-
true cynic, yeah.
I think 10 is relatively high,
Do.
but I think
Yeah.
10 might be my number.
Yeah. If
Because you
got to
think most you're not thinking about people that want to kill people. You got to think about people that want to kill people so badly they're willing to die in the street. That's different. There's a lot
see
of
what
people
you're
like if
saying.
you could just
Yeah.
say, like, "Hey, you want to go kill that guy?" I'd be like, "Maybe." But if he can kill me back, I'm like, "Nah, bro, we're good." Here's a drink. But
I must be a true cynic. I'm thinking about 25 to 30%.
Really?
Like in all honesty, yeah. There's just too
I
many
think you
people.
hang out with assholes, man.
That's
That's a brutal. I'm just kidding. But that's a brutal. Like, think
I
Why
hang around
you're
good
here
people.
on-
I just have
1 out of 4 people. That means. Right in this
One of us
room,
would be
you got
actively
1.5.
No, okay, you can't. It's unfair to do it that way. But basically, there would be like groups of people in like certain places that would be
Large groups in places.
yeah,
Yeah.
assembling to go out and kill people.
I'm gonna say like 7 is my number. I think 7%.
I'd say 25 to 30.
He
and
thinks
I just-
20. He might be
Yes.
right. I don't know. Joey, what's your number? What percentage of people
It's a.
would purge if they could tomorrow? Go out there and just purge on purpose.
Proactively purge.
8 to 10%.
8 to 10. Okay,
I
well,
think
yeah,
1 out of 10 people need to be purged because they would purge.
I really need to have more faith in people, I guess.
I love you guys. I'm gonna go purge real quick on stage.
Great to see.
Purge it up, Kevin.
All right.
Do you have any black ass stuff to talk about?
Now, I'm going to ask you.
We have a blackout over here. Daryl, come over here and pick up this. Yeah, come over here.
Yeah.
Move faster. Get over here. What's up, Kevin?
A bride canceled her wedding after guests refused to give thousands of dollars to help fund it.
What?
Yeah, they.
She made like a fund me for a wedding.
She actually, it wasn't a GoFundMe. Her and her significant other are forking the bill for the wedding.
Okay.
So what she initially thought that it was going to be like about a $10,000 wedding. It turns out that it's going to be like $50,000 or $60,000. So she started basically shaming her entourage. All right, just check it. I'm reading this. All right.
What is she?
A bride asking each of her guests to contribute $1,500 to her wedding.
Oh my God!
15. She and then which that's the guest, and then she wanted like the bridesmaid to, or excuse me, the couple had each wedding guest to contribute $1,500 along with a $5,000 pledge from the maid of honor and $3,000 pledge from the groom's parents.
Okay,
this is legit. There is
this?
Who are these people that they would even ask for that much money?
And when the money wasn't there, she fucking pouted and canceled the wedding.
Oh wow!
Where are these people from?
She can go ahead and cancel her friendships as well, because if you were that,
when I first read it, I'm thinking this is a fucking ploy just to try to get something viral going on. But no, it's supposedly it's all
People
legit.
do crazy stuff like that. Ridiculous.
I have something that
voice.
ladies and gentlemen, Daryl Beckham.
Yeah, we didn't get to meet.
It's called D. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Mr. He'll be Mr. D. It's funny, we got a black guy on here going by Mr. D now. One thing that I thought of when you brought up Bewitched is I was totally unaware that they had a Predator remake coming out in like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
You
they're
know,
doing it again with
I'm glad you brought that. You and I kind of we're on the same page here.
We have
or
synergy,
vibe.
my friend.
Yeah, because when I sent you a text the other day about worst to first,
Yes.
and that the reason why I sent that was I'm a huge Predator guy. Predator top 10 movie of all time with Arnold, the first one.
Get to the chopper.
Yeah,
Get to the chopper.
and then they're releasing. They have this another. It's not a remake, but it's another installment coming up in September.
So it is going to be canon?
It's
considered canon?
Is there a canon around Predator?
wait a minute, what?
Canon, in other words, it
Is
continues
it part of the legacy? You know, like
Yeah.
the same
Yeah,
story.
yeah. And what's the guy who was in the original? One of the guys that was in the original wrote it and is directing it.
Okay.
Oh,
there's
I
history.
know which guys.
It's
They
the-
were in the
it's
original Predator. There's one with glasses and one
was him.
without.
The
The
one
guy
with
with glasses.
glasses.
Yes.
He's the
The
one.
guy with glasses.
Yeah,
That wasn't
he's the one with the glasses.
No, it was Hawkins. It was Hawkins.
It was Hawkins the guy with the glasses?
I want Hawkins' body found.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
But his
He
wife, he
he's
told
the
his
one
wife
that's like,
he wanted a little
the
pussy.
jungle
And she said
just
something
came
about-
alive and took him.
Yeah.
I know every fucking line of that movie. But
Jeez, you got a big.
there was Gigi got it. That's it. That Gigi got it. That was it. Gigi got it.
Twice. I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't. So that's what made me think, with all the Predator movies, and we could do this with not just movies, but anything, worst to first. That was my thing. Is that you come up with the topic and say, just in case, say Predator. Of all the movies, what was the worst to the best? Or the
Oh,
worst? That was-
movies-wise.
Well, that's
best
movies,
movie to worst.
but it didn't have to just be movies. It could be anything. It could be
Okay.
music or whatever.
Well, knowing that
Yeah.
that guy's involved in the writing, then I have more faith in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
if it's someone part of the original movie, then they're actually going to care, put the love in it.
Maybe.
Whereas, because Alien
George
Covenant
Lucas
was
screwed up his
absolutely.
own franchise.
Who's that?
George Lucas screwed up his
Oh,
own franchise
dear God.
by writing the
He's just
prequels
nodding
and
his
giving-
head.
and
He's just
giving it
nodding
to
his
Disney.
head. He's never seen Star Wars. He's never seen Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
No, but
Not
I
one
know,
movie.
but I've
But you don't
heard.
claim to be a nerd.
No,
or anything,
I
do you?
know.
Okay, good. Because you can't if you haven't.
But I've heard that story about with Jordan.
Well, that's a great example, and also like the Alien Covenant movie, like.
See, there's the Alien.
Prometheus sparked a lot of intrigue. Yeah. Alien Covenant was just a terrible film.
Was Prometheus part of the Alien?
Yes, that's pretty good.
Okay.
The Covenant was good.
I didn't know that.
Covenant, really?
The last one?
Oh, my God.
I've been wanting to see Prometheus, so Prometheus is part of the Alien?
It's like a prequel to the whole thing, but it really doesn't connect.
Were you a fan of the Alien versus Predator?
The first one was all right.
The first one was passable.
Yeah.
The first one was passable.
Yeah.
The second one wasn't canon. The second one was not canon.
Yeah.
And that's a great example. The second one, you notice how it had nothing to do with the universe whatsoever of the other movies. Yeah. It was outside
I
canon.
didn't know there was a universe around it. They're making another RoboCop.
No, no, you're wrong because hold on. The second Alien versus Predator.
Yeah, it happens in that town.
Yeah, but it comes off of the first Alien because if you remember the first Alien versus Predator, at the end you see the
thing bursts out of the chest and causes it to crash.
Because the alien in the second one, that's how it looks.
Okay.
It's got the
True.
Yeah,
and it popped out the aliens like an alien.
So that was my worst of first movies, or maybe even a band. You could say their albums. You say worst the first album. It's just shit like that. So it's just.
But you say
small.
So what was Predator being the first of Arnold's best movies? Or?
I think the best one was not Arnold. It was just like
Best
the
movies.
Predators. I was just the Predator movies. That was what. I didn't use
easy.
Well, no, that was easy. But my point was that's what triggered the worst of first idea. It didn't have to be Predator, but that was like one more Predator movie. All right, let's rate them. But then that's what I was like.
Yeah, Predators wasn't that good.
Predators.
Where they put them on the planet.
Did you like Predator 2?
No, that was.
You did? I loved that.
It was so good. Because what's his name? What's the
Danny Glover.
I just didn't find him as a believable badass.
I did.
Go back and watch
Could have been.
All it
could have been
means
the
is
skin
like,
car.
all it means, what it really means, is that Predator took out a whole elite squad of muscle-bound super
badasses,
but he can't fuck with an angry black guy.
An LA cop.
Make us mad, it's over.
Exactly. He was chasing after. Was in that. There was some actually. It was entertaining.
He was chasing after.
But at the end, do you remember at the end when
pussy face?
It's they're underground or something. As it was ending, and you can see. It's like they're in the Predators.
Yeah, they're in the ship.
They're in the ship.
Do you remember
all the skulls?
Do you remember one of the skulls?
It was an alien. Yeah.
That spawned the whole merger.
Yeah.
Because people saw that and they were like, wouldn't that be cool?
Right.
Yeah.
But isn't RoboCop supposed to be in that universe too?
I don't think so. That RoboCop remake was terrible.
Because there was a.
Did you like the one?
There was a RoboCop.
Oh, RoboCop was
badass.
Oh,
Blu-ray.
That's the best movie.
Peter Weller. Oh, that whole thing.
The second one wasn't that bad.
No, the second one was kind of bad.
The third one had like half the budget of like a.
But that wasn't Peter Weller in that third one, was it?
No.
Yeah, he was. He was in the third one.
Oh,
he was
God.
he was in the third one. It was
That one was
It was just
bad.
really, really bad.
It's like I want to know what the budget on that was, but the remake was like a PG-13 movie, and when you have RoboCop, that's
well, you just can't top that
How
first.
much leg is showing over there?
look at him. They can't see the leg.
I can't see.
Are you actually complaining about
No,
that?
I'm not. I'm just asking the question.
One thing I will defend is when it comes to You Can't Get Any Better, I thought the Total Recall remake was actually a decent film.
It was all right. It was not bad, but it still didn't touch
Colin
the-
Farrell.
No, I'm not saying it was better by any means,
Right.
but people gave it like
See,
a lot of
it was-
trash.
We need to
It
do
was
like
decent.
that would even be better. Actually, you just said it. Worst to first Arnold movies. Maybe
Number one is Conan the Barbarian. That's number one.
Oh, what about Commando?
Commando, Commando isn't a better movie than Predator. I like
Ever see
Commando.
End of
I like
Days? I watched that
End
the
of
other
Days.
day.
That's the one where he cries. It's like, yeah, he cries at the end of that. He's like crying hard.
It's about the
the devil and
The
stuff.
devil.
No, he's crying at the end of that hard. Like it's like,
Oh,
nah, I
no.
can't
I don't
watch
think
it. Yeah, he cries. He's like,
Commando, though? Remember when I said I killed you last? I lied.
Commando.
There was so many bloopers in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
With the car.
You remember that?
The
the car was
like
fixed when he
wrecked,
drove
and then
away.
when he drove away, it was like right out of the showroom.
Right.
Oh my God, that's the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
No, the best part is when him and Bill Duke get into that fight.
Yeah.
When he punches him in the nuts, he's like, oh.
Yeah.
I gotta watch Commando.
Bill Duke was in that.
I mean, he uppercuts the dude, and the guy flies, gets the spike stuck to him.
See, this is a great idea for a show in general, just Arnold movies.
Yeah.
He's
No,
got
no,
a
here-
great,
we need
great
to come
catalog.
But here's the one mystery about the biggest mistake they made in Commando. Because Arnold, at the end, Bennett is the bad
Bennett,
guy.
yeah.
And then he's fighting him, and it's like Arnold's got his shirt off, muscles everywhere, just ripped. And Bennett's got chainmail on with the belt on the outside, looking like some Luke Skywalker shit. And he's all out of shape and fat. It's like, how is this guy even hanging with him? And then it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger beats his ass, knocks him into an electrical fence. He gets electrocuted, charges him up like Goku somehow. And then he starts beating the shit out of Arnold. And then obviously he rips a pipe out of the wall and throws it through him.
I saw it.
He was in like a Studio 54 outfit.
If you think about it, that's ridiculous, isn't it? It's
Oh,
like,
it's
I'm going to rip this off the wall and just throw it through you because I ain't got nothing else to think about.
It's Commando, man. The Porsche. The showroom Porsche.
Yeah, it's showroom. Yeah.
It's like, go back and actually listen to the lyrics on the Easy E album, and you're going to be shocked.
So that's a good idea. Name, in this case, Arnold will have to do a worst to first with his movies, and one thing I've been getting into a lot lately is I'll go out and check out shit on Reddit.
Yeah.
There was a post on there. I'm gonna read the post to you guys. Someone posted, in quotes, "People run from rain, but sit in bathtubs full of water." That was what the guy put out there. Now think about that. People run from rain, but sit in bathtubs full of water. Clearly, two different scenarios.
Yeah, that person thought they were saying something that was like really like prolific or
Exactly.
philosophical, and it's not.
Well,
First off, it would have been more effective if he said shower. First off.
Yeah.
Second,
Yeah.
showers are warm, and so
Yeah.
are bath water. So I mean,
all right. Well, then someone responded, and he's like, "Wow, so profound. Do you also bathe fully clothed, you dickhead?" And then he adds, "Oh, isn't it funny that a person will eat when they're hungry, but will duck if you throw an apple at their face?"
That's awesome. That's awesome. I actually do have one of those kind of sayings that's my own. I hate cold weather, and I don't mind heat so much. And I always tell people cold is pain because I've seen people run inside from the cold, but I've never seen anyone run inside from the heat. You know what I mean? If it's cold outside, they're like, "Oh my God, let's get inside." But when it's hot, it's just like, "Man, it's fucking hot." And you walk on into the air conditioning, you're like, "Nice." You don't see someone run to get to that air conditioning. You see people run to get to heat.
Yeah.
Cold is pain.
Cold is pain.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that on Reddit and see what smart Alex have to say.
All right, here's one for you. Man shot multiple times leaving church, dies in hospital. All right, the fact that he died in the hospital, that's not irrelevant. All right, that's irrelevant to me. What was more important is that he was shot leaving church. Clearly, someone's not looking out for him.
Or maybe he must have skipped out on the collection.
I don't know what happened there.
It's that streamlined to Jesus, man. He just wanted that streamlined to Jesus.
So maybe he, someone convinced him that the next life, they say life you're living, after you die and you go to heaven, that life will be so much. So maybe they convinced him that, it's time to just bypass today and go straight to go.
Do they mention where it's at, like what state it was in, or because that would tell you everything you need to know right there.
I think what happened is he skipped out on collection. And Pastor done he got them ushers, them old ones in the front that don't do nothing. They don't even open the door. They just stand there. Because they're there to come after people who don't pay collection and make you either feel bad or you end up missing.
I remember that. It's been wow, 25 years since I've been in the church for a service, and I remember
a couple
that.
times
I remember that.
just because people keep asking me to go. But
my parents still go.
I go because I like the band. The
you
band's
got a
in there
band at your
jamming.
church?
Oh yeah, the band's in there jamming.
I'm scared I'm gonna catch on
The
fire
bass
when I walk
player-
through the
yeah, me
doors.
too. My ears always burn whenever I go in there. But like,
It was here in Louisville.
Are you serious? Oh my
I
God!
saw the headliners.
Oh my
Does it say which
God!
church?
Louisville's Parkland neighborhood,
Oh,
Sunday afternoon, 32nd and Greenwood.
Well, there you go.
Is that?
Well, I shouldn't say that, but damn, there you go.
Is that?
The witness said he was shot as he left the church and was walking to his car.
It was that pre-Sunday service dice game. You know what I'm saying? It just,
I really didn't know it was Louisville. So
Kiki wanted his money.
Somebody was shooting at him. It wasn't like
Probably,
so he must have owed somebody money.
And at church, man, they just don't
something to
care.
somebody,
man.
baby mamas or something.
That's some Godfather shit right there.
all right.
It's crazy.
Come to find out, the Vatican knew about all these recent molestation charges in Pennsylvania. They had known about it.
Yeah.
I want you to look into the cameras too and enlighten that whole Catholic community, all those churchgoers. How fucking sick is it to be a part of something?
They're so indoctrinated into it. It's not going to change anything. And this is something that was a story today. Trump met with a lot of religious pastors, reverends, that sort of thing.
So they can touch him and pray for him. And
he said that if they didn't basically tell their congregations, and their followers to get out and vote, then there would be a response, and it would be the Democrats would undo everything they had done very quickly, very violent. There will be violence. That's verbatim. Mm-hmm. If people in the church can't fucking open their eyes to see past him, child molesters, all these things that are so hypocritical and so terrible, they're already insane. They're already gone. And
but isn't it?
Catholics,
But I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering, because on that thing, people basically people who are Catholics and they are still devout while this is going on, right? They still claim Catholic even though pastors are molesting people, right?
Yes.
Well, but isn't that more of a case of? And this is you see this with a lot of people in a lot of different ways, but the way people just compartmentalize things. They know that's messed up, but I'm a Catholic, and real Catholicism isn't like that. So this is that, but that's what people do. They'll compartmentalize it in order to keep themselves from being able to.
But this goes back to a conversation we were having last week where they're still just refuse to change certain things to prevent that from happening, like allowing priests to marry, like allowing there to be female priests.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But they're so indoctrinated into this old faith that we'll just kind of push that over the side that priests are fucking little boys, and we'll just kind of continue on. Yeah. Eat our wafer and put the ash on our forehead.
I think there are people who are trying to make pedophilia normal. There's somebody in it wasn't the South Carolina, guys running for Congress.
I think it was in Virginia.
It's Virginia or West Virginia. He's an admitted child pedophile. Yeah, he's running for office.
Well, and he'll get some votes.
Yeah. How scary is that?
Sick.
How scary is that?
There are actual legitimate groups out there and lawyers and stuff and groups that are trying to actually legitimize people who are pedophiles.
Yeah.
Oh, these are human. It's like, it's too. It's like, well,
good Lord.
They just put them people in jail for fucking them animals. They're gonna make them normal too.
I want to go back real quick to McCain. What was your take with the family acknowledging John's wish to have Bush and Obama speak at his funeral and not Trump, not even invited?
Yeah. I thought that was, the man knew what was coming, and I think it's awesome that he actually left a final letter, you know what I'm saying, kind of, which should actually inspire Republicans to be like, hey, let's go ahead and start to sharpen up, you know what I mean? Because this was a well-respecting, war veteran, you know what I'm saying, a great man, great politician. I'm not like Kevin. I don't think all politicians are bad, and that man has shown his character so many times in the past, I'd say 10 years. So I mean, I think it's awesome. It's just kind of sad that it doesn't seem to have like that effect that it should. I'm sorry,
right.
go right ahead.
No, I was going to say, were you surprised that the the people on the right, the Republicans didn't try to push back on that?
On a man's dying wish, like. I mean, that would take some balls.
Well, I think there's probably a few that are totally Trump supporters of Trump that would,
From what we've seen, from Congress, you know what I'm saying? Apparently a lot of them are. Because, I mean, Senator McCain did, basically speak out on Donald Trump many times. And more importantly, he spoke out on Trumpism, this kind of tribal, ideology that's been going on. And it seemed to be talking to a wall with a lot of Republicans in the House and in the Senate. I'm really, really scared, after what's been going on today with him, getting closer and closer to seemingly attacking free speech. These are things that start to happen in a dictatorship or a fascist type government, and it's getting kind of scary when he's brazen enough.
That's what everybody was afraid of when he got elected, because from the beginning he showed even while he was running, he was showing signs of this guy's he looks like he'd prefer a dictatorship. Yeah. He sounds like
totalitarian.
He wants, or a very authoritarian.
He wants the parade, the military parade.
I mean, if you offered him, if you went to said, "Oh, President Trump, we're going to get rid of Congress, and you're just going to make all the decisions," he jumped.
Oh, hell yeah!
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Oh, in a heartbeat.
I mean, and you could probably say, well, maybe anybody would, but I could imagine some presidents who probably would be like, no, I wouldn't do that.
Well, I just find it odd, when he's attacking liberal media, on a broad basis, that's okay. But now when you're starting to say hey, Google, you need to watch it, literally threatening Google, and what do you? What's the end goal here, man?
He's threatened, but he threatened Amazon too. He threatened. Didn't he say something bad about Apple at some point? He said something bad about a lot of companies,
it's just scary he's brazen enough to do that, because it's basically him saying that, look, it's going to be Washington D.C. is going to be Trump D.C., or at least that's how he wants it to be.
I think he kept Amazon from buying another company out of spite, because they had to go through the government to make sure it was cleared, and he did something to make sure that they rejected it or something. So yeah,
it probably didn't benefit him financially or the people that or he's in the pocket of.
Well, I think it's because it's whoever owns CNN or whatever, and he hates CNN.
There you go. And I've been doing a lot of watching of Fox News lately, because I don't want to be that guy that just never watches the other side, and it's so weird and alien to watch this news station that just kind of jumps around headlining stories.
There's a couple, Shep Smith, Neil Cavuto. There's a couple guys that will, Shep Smith is definitely, he's going to talk news, and he calls out.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he's really biased, as biased as
I'm sure not all of them are, but it's just so askew. Yeah. And I watch
it's what?
Oh, see what I did there? Double entendre.
What an ego. He's got to get his name out one more time.
But it's odd, because I watch CNN, MSNBC, and I do see them kind of hard press it, and presented kind of leftish, where I can read between the lines. I'm you're kind of playing that up a little bit.
None of them.
But on Fox, they just kind of jump around even mentioning stories. They literally deny the public. Trump's statements today, they'll show it for 20 seconds, and then they just kind of move on to, today a little kid drowned in a river that flooded, and it's just what is going on? This is Fox News. Speaking of which, did you hear about the number shift in the casualties at Puerto Rico?
Oh God.
Trump, when he originally spoke on it, he was what is it, 16 or something?
Yes, they said 65 people were confirmed
64.
Before. And now it's
2,975. Yeah. I remembered the number.
And I think isn't it the number technically more than died at 9/11?
Yeah.
It's that's messed up.
and he downplayed it. He was like, there were real tragedies like Katrina and this and that and the third. But yeah.
But how do you get? And I heard something on the radio about this. How they were saying that something about the officials didn't know how to properly estimate whether somebody died or not, or something like that. I'm like, but yeah, I mean, that'd be if you were a couple off, like a couple hundred off, maybe or something like that. But thousands, man.
Yeah.
It's like, hold on.
And I'm not saying there was political motives behind that, but I mean,
well, he
really?
don't care because they ain't part of the mainland, and plus, Puerto Rico doesn't get to vote, do they?
No, they're
not the national election.
What are they considered? Not a providence. It's Kevin.
Whatever the Virgin
citizens.
Islands is.
They're considered citizens of America,
right? They
but they
not
can't vote, and they're not a state.
I think.
I guess we'll go with territory.
Yeah, something like that.
What is that called?
I knew it the other day. It's on the tip of my brain.
I've heard it 800 times, in the past year and a half.
It's the same thing that the Virgin Islands is. It's the same thing that the Virgin Islands is.
Oh shit! It's
some word for territory.
Email Kevin at shootingfromthelip if you have the answer to.
I can Google it. All right, guys. Anything else before we shut it down? As we get closer to an hour mark on this segment.
Really, again?
This was a lot of fun, guys. Thank you for letting me come on.
Oh, yeah. You should have been on from the beginning.
Well, that one guy over here was killing it. He was, you know what's funny? He said that thing about Noah's Ark and all the animals and then the animals in the ocean. You know what's funny about it? It was so funny because I've never thought about that.
I had neither.
I
had neither.
Well, yeah. All those animals in the ocean, it's like, okay.
Once again, in a very upcoming episode of Shooting from the Lip, we will be doing the topic: God make man or man make God?
Oh, this is going to be fun.
And it will be an hour-long segment.
Could I suggest that you all define God before you have that discussion?
Well, I mean, we're going to lay out all those.
Is it the Bible Christian God or is it some abstraction?
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
Well, actually.
I think that
should we lay it? Why wouldn't that be there? Like who? If I throw the question out, did God make man or man make God? If God made man, the people who want to jump on that, we'll let them answer it. But that's a good question. That would be a question. And here's the thing, guys. While the guys, Andrew and his buddy, are saying their piece about God making man, I have to turn your mic because I don't want laughing in the back.
I was going to say, I'll make faces.
You'll be hearing this.
Oh, that's happening.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
All right. You can supplement. Have you seen the Matrix movies really quick? You haven't seen those? Never mind.
All right.
You don't watch TV, do you?
No, I do. I just don't watch
movies. No science fiction.
I'm not a big science fiction guy.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay. No Star Trek. X-Files, that's not really science fiction.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
No, that's more of a paranormal kind of thing. Science fiction to me is...
No, you mean spaceships and stuff and all that.
Not just... I mean, the UFO, I believe in aliens and stuff, but see, I can watch Predator, but that's anything,
action.
Yeah.
You need action.
But I can't... that Star Wars with the plastic... and I can't get it. I thought those movies were just so bad back in the day.
I feel you.
But you probably jerking off to
Leia and the what is the Job of the Hutt?
Oh
She's
yeah. And I was 9 years old when that came out. Yeah.
And every time you hear Darth Vader's voice, you get the
and I don't know about Vader's voice. Yeah. I would make the Vader voice while I jerked off to it. Oh, Leia.
That's how you're breathing. It's like,
I am your daddy, Leia. I am your daddy.
All the breath was, All right, guys. All right.